We are live, the Toxically Positive HighBrarians on a Thursday night. Sean, all the way from the Canary Islands. How's the weather over there?
You don't want to know.
It's shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything is
all right,
shit.
Yeah. All right. Let's do that. Let's try that.
It's your fault the weather is bad.
T-shirt, shorts, suntan cream. What can I say?
Yeah, it's because of you that the weather is as bad as it is here, because you're not. I don't understand. I can't form a coherent argument. Let me copy somebody
It's
else.
It's toxically good weather here. That's the problem.
How have you been?
I think you just said how
last time it was my internet. I think your internet's playing up a little bit.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, let's go with that as well.
That's what I said.
How have I been? I've been missing football. Crystal Palace was great. I didn't get to watch the match, which killed me because I had to do dad things. But it's a great result, and I really thought that a result like that would put a few fears to rest. Namely, that one about how we can't score goals. Because 5-0 is quite a good result.
It is, but we still can't score goals. Remember.
No, we still can't.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
And we never will again.
Yeah, Pigmole is actually going to scratch those off.
It's difficult. Do you know what? I loved the game, but this is why I did the video I did, because I found myself watching it. This isn't going to be enough for some people. You know, that there is no, football is incredibly tribal, right? You pick your team, win or lose, that's your team. Or it used to be this way anyway. And now it's like the most abuse and the most toxicity you get, no pun intended, is from people who apparently support the same team as you. So, the lineup before the game, I made that mistake of going online and seeing what people thought about Arteta's lineup, and there was anger. He'd either made too many changes or not enough. What was he thinking playing Trossard? At last, he was playing Trossard. It's just this constant background noise, and I think I've learned that I do have to be able to shut it out. But I'm not sure what fans wanted. Look, most of us are in the same boat. Most of us are just happy that we are where we are. It's progress. But for a vocal minority, there is just this disappointment all the time with everything that happens. I looked at our squad. We don't really have a lot of choice who to play. There aren't a lot of players that are coming in. It would have been nice to see Emil Smith-Rowe start. I do wonder what the point of Reece Nelson is if he's never going to get a game. I thought when he dropped Martinelli for Trossard, I've been saying that Arteta needs to rotate more, use his bench more, and bring in some academy players. And then finally, you look at it, and Raul Walters was on the bench for the full 90 minutes. He could have had 10 minutes.
It's better than 0 minutes. But no, I think we all share that reservation with Arteta. And the problem with the polaric aspect of football debate is you've got to be all the way one side or all the way the other side. We're either brilliant or we're crap. We're either going to win everything or we're doing nothing. Arteta's either the messiah or he's a piece of shit. It's boring as fuck. Because there's nuance everywhere. I would like him to be a little bit more laissez-faire about playing the younger people. And there's a theme to this. There's the beginning of this theme. Arsenal is a particular kind of club, all right? We're not Man City. We're not Man United. We're not Barcelona. We're not Real Madrid. We're not Bayern Munich. We are just in this little niche underneath the top echelon. We've done really well to be as tight to the top echelon as we are, but we're not in the top echelon. I'm not sure if we ever will be. When we rebuilt the stadium, we built it at 60,000. That was a real surprise. The Camp Nou at the time had twice that, which tells you where our ambition, one of the words of the day, or words of the week is. We have to be realistic. And I like where we are. I like that we've got a little bit of pluckiness about us, because I live in Spain and I speak to Real Madrid supporters and Barcelona supporters every day. And anything short of not only a victory, but a stylish one is a total disaster as far as they're concerned. The pressure they have on every single game is unbearable, to the point by which, if you've ever read Fever Pitch, which I hope the people tuning in have, you realise there's no sorrow to give you joy. Yeah. You therefore can never enjoy a good victory when you get it, because it's a minimum requirement. You know, it's just barely satisfactory. Something that make us, you know, whoop and holler and be. I think people have got to realise, what is Arsenal? What is Arsenal? I think you made a really, really good point on the chats and one of your recent videos. Arsenal doesn't support us. We support Arsenal, right? So really enormous difference that really needs to be mentioned again and again and again. Arsenal didn't pick us. We picked it. Okay, and it is what it is, and we've chosen it to be that thing. You can't say, oh, you know, that girl, she looks lovely. I think I'm going to court her and go out with her and marry her. And then at the end of it, go, yeah, well, you know, I didn't think she'd be like this. So you had plenty of time to find out. You know.
Yeah.
You didn't.
The only adjustment I would make to that point, and I think obviously I agree with everything you're saying, but the only adjustment I would make to that point is that I never really picked Arsenal. You know, I didn't really have a choice. You know, it was a family thing. We're all Gooners. No one in my family is anything but Arsenal, and we lived walking distance from the stadium. So at the time I first started going to matches, I was one of only 2 kids in my primary school class that supported Arsenal. It wasn't fashionable, it wasn't trendy, and all the kids on my estate took the piss out of me when I turned up wearing Arsenal scarf, because they were like, you lot are rubbish, and we were. And that was just it. You know, I supported a team because that's who I supported, not because they were good. And it was years before we were good, right? And when we became good, it was all a little bit miraculous. The kind of outpouring of anger around the match before we went to Liverpool in '89, because we'd blown it, and we 2 games before Liverpool, we should have had the League One. We didn't. We'd blown it, and it was this whole bloody Arsenal.
We'd bottled it, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I only heard the phrase "bottled it" last year, and I've heard it plenty since then.
Which we like to do these days.
And I feel like, yeah, you know, we bottled it, famously bottled it in '99 as well. You know, when Man United won the treble, we bottled everything. Mm-hmm. We've been bottlers a lot, you know, apparently. And then, of course, Liverpool haven't, you know, Tottenham haven't. They've never bottled anything, because they've never been within a whisker of winning something. So it's awful to nearly win something. It's terrible. Arteta needs to be sacked for nearly winning stuff. But the point was, I didn't pick Arsenal. It's a team. I've never supported any other team. I've never called myself a fan of any other team. I like Juventus in Italy and Bayern in Germany, and I have a team in Austria. And give me long enough, I'd work out who to support in Belgium, because watching football where you don't have, I'd never get this thing where people go, a good match for the neutrals. Who the hell are neutrals? What are they doing watching football?
No point then, is there? Yeah, exactly.
Other sports for them. But we didn't pick the team. So, yeah, you've got to want one team to win. Otherwise, you just turn it over. So for me, the idea that I've been criticised a lot for, as you've seen, for saying that being an Arsenal fan is not about winning things. I think that's an impossible thing to think. That if you were, but then I get it. I get a lot of these guys who are in their early 30s or a bit younger started supporting Arsenal when it must have felt to them like we were. I had one person say to me, we were always in the top 2. It's like, no, we weren't. But apart from that, yeah, we were always in the top 2. Mostly
we often scraped fourth, actually. Yeah, we often scraped fourth, and we had to go in a playoff to get.
If you look back at the last 20 years, it's been pretty bad, right? It has been pretty bad. But if you look at the 19 years from 1970 to 1989, that was pretty bad as well.
That was worse.
It was awful. I mean, we were dreadful. I went to the first 2 games I stood on the North Bank. We didn't score a goal. No one scored a goal. It was the terraces. There were a lot of people around grumbling. Arsenal fans, I've always thought of us as quite whingy. I'm not going to lie, yeah, it's not good enough, but never angry. I think there was a difference. People used to go to football as an escape from the drudgery of their working life. But there's a great line in Nick Hornby's book, Fever Pitch, where he talks about this. He says the character that's, famously played by Colin Firth in the film, he finds love and finds out he's going to become a father, and all his adolescent life and young adult life, it's been all that mattered to him, because that character would never have seen a league title. He would have started supporting Arsenal just after the 71 double, and he would have endured 18 years of nothing, not even being close, losing the FA Cup final to West Ham, all of these kinds of things, interspersed with the victory over Man United. And there's a couple of glory moments. But for him, he really felt like his life would be better if we won the league. And the line in the book, which I don't know if it's in the film, but he says, actually, if you care this much about football, it's usually because you haven't got anything going on in your life.
Exactly.
For me, I do accept this. I accept that we were very lucky in that golden Arsene Wenger period and the George Graham period, which people don't talk about so much anymore, but was beautiful. We were very lucky to see success. And I think for me, in 2004, when I was at the stadium to watch us lift the Premier League title on the Invincible season, I think there was a part of us all that realised, how do you top this? And actually, when you win a double or when you win the league, it feels fantastic. We all go out and celebrate. I remember us all in the steam passage in Islington drinking doubles, and having a great time. But 2 days later, you're back to real life again. Real life happens.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And
it's never going to be.
A lot of words are used without drilling down into them that much. We use the word care just then, and that's a word used a lot. But it can mean different things to different people. There are a lot of people getting very emotive about our current blip, and it's a small blip. We've dropped 2 or 3 games. We crashed out to FA Cup against a good team, albeit at home, and we've dropped 6 points. And it's like people's emotional reaction to it's off the fucking charts. You need to just get a grip. Just because you're not losing your shit, it doesn't mean you don't care. All right? You've got to get some perspective into this. Yes, I care. Am I pissed off that we've dropped 5 points to Fulham? Absolutely I am. But I've got 3 small children and I'm going to turn 50 this year. It is not that bad. It's a shame. It's something I don't want. If I could have it again, I wouldn't have it happen. But I'm not going to start, effing and blinding and insulting people I don't know because they have a slightly different perspective to me. Everyone just fucking get a grip. We're on the same team. Seriously. I cannot possibly understand after the few years we've just gone through, leading up to Emery and including Emery, where, we had 1 or 2 good players and we had 1 or 2 performances. Overall, after having enjoyed the Wenger years as a diehard Gooner myself, they were Wenger light. They were like, I never thought we were going to do anything with it. And then suddenly this comes along and last season happens. You go, whoa, hang on a second. I remember this in the late 90s.
It felt like 97. It felt like we were destined. It felt like it was going to happen.
This is special. It didn't. We're doing something. I never thought we were doing something before, but I've never had this expectation that people see.
But you look at teams, and it's about the players, right? I mean, am I glad Saka's playing? Yeah, I love Martinelli. I think Odegaard's great. I think across the team, I believe they're playing for the badge. I was delighted Declan Rice came in. We all want to win the league. We all want to win the league. Although I think there are people now in our fan base that would be gutted if we won the league, because what do they do?
No. Is what I was going to bring up. The psychology of it. All that Nietzsche stuff, all that Nick Hornby stuff. Do people, without realizing, actually want sorrow more than they want joy? Are they actually looking for it?
I think it's different than that. I think there is an element of that. I think what I sense is that they are this is a very individualistic society. The thing that, you know, people have said to me, a lot of people have come on to the channel and posted over and over again that I shouldn't be getting triggered. I should stay off those channels to be triggered, whilst getting triggered on my channel uninvited, right? So I feel like, but what really triggered me was that they're representing me. And as you've already alluded, as you already discussed, you know, no, they're not representing us. We're supporting them. You know, there's that great scene in Jerry Maguire where the character, the footballer, is playing and his brother is sitting there coating him off. And finally, his wife just slaps the brother and says, "Shut up." You know, and it's, I kind of feel like there's some fans do that. But what I think is that a lot of these guys have picked a side. They want to win. They want it. They really want it. And you hear a lot about how bad Arteta is at stuff from people. And I sit there thinking, well, what have you ever won? What have you ever achieved? What have you ever done that anyone, you know, because we joked about it earlier, toxic positivity, you know, these people, I wonder if they've perhaps experienced too much toxic positivity in their own life. If their mum brings them a cup of tea and a Jaffa cake and says, well done, you're doing really well coating off everybody for not being as good as you at something, you know, like, I don't know, but there's just this atmosphere of everything's about the individual. They haven't joined a big group where the thing I always loved about our club and football in general was that I didn't have any control over it. I didn't have any control. We win, great. I feel fantastic. We lose, I feel shit. Of course I do. I have no control over it. What I've seen recently is that when they can't just blame. Yeah, but you're supposed to. You're supposed to all feel the same, right? Exactly. What I've seen recently is they can't blame the Cronkies because we've spent more money than we've ever spent. They can't blame Edu because he brought in everyone they wanted. They can blame Arteta, but ultimately has delivered progress. And so what's really wrong at Arsenal is the lowering of the standards by people who turned. I said he's delivered nothing but failure. I go, yeah. So broke records for the number of goals scored. He's won an FA Cup. They must just think, God, yeah, we are the problem. If we're the reason we haven't won the Premier League, then Newcastle fans must be absolutely doing something wrong, you know, because let's be blunt. We didn't win the league last year. One team won the league last year. Everyone else should have been sacked. You know, we'll have plenty of managers to choose from in the new regime. We're all failures. Everyone else is a failure. Chelsea failed to qualify for the Champions League. Tottenham failed to qualify for Europe. You know, Brighton failed to win the league. It just goes on, doesn't it? I mean, Newcastle got to a cup final. They've not won anything ever. Middlesbrough, like all of the teams you go through, they're all failing. And yet we look at it, our fan base looks at it and goes, well, someone is to blame for this. This isn't what I wanted. Who do I blame? And in the absence of, they either blame everyone but themselves. I have yet to hear somebody saying, do you know, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe it's not all the fans that turn up to the Emirates and cheer and support loudly and vocally. Maybe they're actually doing what they're supposed to. And I'm sitting in my bedroom calling Arteta names, calling all the players rubbish, lazy, being upset that they go on a jolly to Dubai, which is really a commercial exercise, which I heard people saying Pep wouldn't do it. Pep's always taking them off somewhere. You know, like that's where Arteta won it. You know, you take the players to warm weather training.
For a second, because I've been meaning to for a while. The other part about your individualism is not only do they set the bar, you know, unreasonably high, like you have to win everything all the time or you're a cunt. They also bring in the justification. So, well, he's had enough money. Like, who are you to say what enough money is? You know, how much did Klopp spend before he ended up winning? How much money did Guardiola spend before he did it? You know, all this sort of stuff. You know, so what your statement is, well, he's been doing it for this long, which is usually, as you say, misquoted or misrepresented, and he spent all this money, quoting a certain amount of money for a certain amount of signings, and he hasn't won any silverware except for the FA Cup, which they miss out on, of course. None of it adds up. All of it is down to 100% subjective projection of your own negative emotion. It's all confirmation bias, and none of it is objective whatsoever. And it's very, very, very tedious because people will argue it to the hilt. It's a faith-based argument, and they will kill you for it if you disagree with them because you're supposed to agree.
How difficult it must be to see all of the 60-something thousand fans at the Emirates cheering and happy, to see so many of us online happy and think, God, if only you weren't so happy, we'd be Champions League winners. As if, and I keep hearing about Real Madrid and Barcelona. I think you put it perfectly well. It's true of all of the big clubs. I mean, Bayern, for example, you know, heaven forfend. I mean, I think Thomas Tuchel's a disaster. I didn't like him at Chelsea. Well, I loved him at Chelsea, if I'm honest with you. But
exactly.
he had that kind of horrible success, and then they booted him out and they replaced him with Potter, which is fantastic. But there is no joy in winning something 11 times in a row. There is no joy in being Real Madrid, really. You know, their history is fantastic, but there's no underdog story. Our greatest moment as Arsenal fans was 1989, where we came from behind. We were not as good as Liverpool. We were never as good as Liverpool in that period. Even when we won in 89, the reality of they played that game after the season was over and on a Friday night when the league was done was because of the Hillsborough tragedy. Anyone who remembers that will remember us giving bouquets of flowers to the Liverpool. So really classy move by the Hillwoods. But there is a contention I would make that perhaps we wouldn't have won that league if it wasn't for the emotional turmoil that Liverpool was going through as a team. And one of the greatest things about that Liverpool side, by the way, and Liverpool fans in general, and I have so much love for Liverpool fans, because when we beat them with that last kick of the game, almost a Michael Thomas winner, they gave us a standing ovation at the end of that match. Now, that's the toxic positivity that led to their downfall, or that's their character. That's the character of real fans. That's the character of people who realise
there's always going to be something ahead of you or behind you. You know, what I saw online after the 5-0 we just had was, oh yeah, we'd be top of the league if it wasn't for those two. So therefore, we ignore this good result. Let's look at the previous bad results, and then there'll be a bad result before the end of the season too. We'll probably not win the Champions League, which means we'll have to lose at some point. And when we do, there'll be plenty of things you can be negative about. They're never far away. This is why these people love football. There's always going to be some reason to be negative before or after. And that's what they'll focus on. The problem is, as I've just recently said in your chat, I don't mind that. If you want to be like that, you can be like that. You want to have an emotive reaction to football, you go and do it. But please, stop trying to present it like it's some kind of rational, calculated, objective view. It's not, and that's all right. Just don't pretend it is. If you're frustrated, say you're frustrated.
It's facts. It's facts that we haven't won the league this year. It's facts that it's facts that Arteta. The frustration is that actually this is content creation. The people that are doing this come out. It's like being, you know, there's in economics, they say economists have correctly predicted 5 of the last 2 recessions. If you come out every year and say Arsenal aren't going to win the league, you're going to be right more often than you're wrong, right? That's a fact. It's a fact that we don't win 3 in a row. Arsenal don't win 2 in a row. So the worst you're going to do is all of these fans that are saying we're rubbish, they're going to have egg on their faces for one season. And then the season after, they'll be back to saying, yeah, but see, I was right. It was a fluke. We shouldn't. And you just think, where's the joy in this? Where's the fun? It takes so much of the joy out of it. I liked winning the league in 97, 98 because no one gave us a chance. I loved it. You know, we beat a Man United team that Paddy Power had already paid out on winning in '89. Like I already said, no one thought we were going to Anfield and winning 2-0. It just didn't happen. And you don't get moments like that plucky underdog thing, if you're constantly the number one. It's what you were saying about Real Madrid and Barcelona. I looked at Real Madrid. I watched the Real Madrid when they played Almeria on Sunday, and they were 2-0 down. And I was like, Almeria are like bottom of La Liga. They're just woeful. But, you know, who's to blame for this? Ancelotti's got to go. And then, of course, they turned it around with a 3-2 win. I watched Bayern Munich losing 1-0 at home to Werder Bremen, and it was just terrible, you know. And you think, no excuse for that if you're Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich fans don't tolerate that. Look what happened to Pep Guardiola at Bayern. You can deliver trophies up the yin yang, but he didn't deliver the Champions League, so he's shit. This kind of reaction, get rid of anyone who doesn't win in 4 or 5 years. 11 in a row. Like, nothing less is good enough. If you don't win the Bundesliga, you're wasting everybody's time. So you can't be happy as a Bayern fan. I mean, do you celebrate a Bundesliga win? Yeah, you probably have a beer with your mates or whatever, but you don't. We will celebrate the next title we win.
Minimum expectation.
Either this
minimum
year.
Expectation.
Minimum expectation is a nightmare, isn't it? Because if you get up every morning expecting to win the lottery, your life is just abject disappointment. If as we always
you
used
finally
to do,
win it, you go, God, about time.
Thank God for that. What kept you? You know, it's so long in the
exactly. All this time I've been driving around.
If it comes down to it,
Renault Clio.
The reality of me going to football matches in '91, I remember going to see us play Benfica in the then European Cup. Full of it. We'd beaten Austria Vienna 6-1. We looked like we were going to do great things. I was convinced we were going to beat Benfica. We'd scored. Kevin Campbell had scored at the Stadio de Luz, and it was 1-1. No, but it didn't. But it went to extra time, and Uran scored we were in the North Bank, and he scored into our goal, and it was just like. It's because in those days you had to be champions to qualify for the for the European Cup. Like, they didn't let just anyone in. So even most of us filing out of Highbury that night, it was somber because we thought, well, when are we ever going to get another chance like this? When are we ever going to get to see, you know? And we hadn't got to see the big clubs yet. We just seen Benfica, who were not a small club at the time, but they weren't like it wasn't what I was hoping for. I was hoping to see in the Wenger years, I did see all the big clubs. I did see akin to what I've seen online in the days since we beat Palace 5-0. You know, we should be embarrassed. Do I think you sack all the players and start again? No, but I do think that there are problems, and I think fans like us that put up with everything. I'm not an Arteta apologist. I do think that he's a young manager. He's far exceeded my expectations for him, but there are frustrations. We spoke about it a little bit earlier. Will Walters. How's he not getting any game than putting Sousa in? Cedric to be on the bench when he's never going to play for Arsenal again, you know, and then people complaining that we can't get a lot of money for him. You know, it was a misstep signing Cedric. We were told that he was coming in and he could play equally well on both flanks, and he can, but it's not what we'd hoped. You know, like, he is equally shit on both left back and right back positions, and there are problems.
I mean, for all we know, he can play like all right, but it doesn't matter because he's not going to get played. You know, that's the thing. That's the thing that gets me about Arteta. When he makes his mind about someone, that's pretty much the end of it. And we're all worrying.
Season he didn't trust his bench, and this season he still doesn't trust his bench.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's brought in 4 new players. I know one of them's injured, but there is a point where I would be, if I was Edu or Josh Kroenke, I would be sitting down with Arteta saying, these are your players. They're not your players if you don't play them. You've got to play them. If you don't rate them, why are they here? Why are we paying Cedric 110 grand a week?
Yeah.
We knew we were going into this transfer. We knew we were going. You remember me talking about it? We knew we had too few defenders.
And on the same theme, yes, you did. You called it loud and clear before the season, especially after the Timber injury. And we still had time to sign cover, and we didn't. But yeah, to more on that like particular theme, you have your way of doing things, and that's fair enough. I understand all that, but do you not get a little bit confused in between having dynamic players and just nailing a position? You know, we don't have any real strikers. We got Youth, who I admire him for backing, and we got Jesus, who's a hybrid player, and we brought in Kai Havertz, who's a hybrid player. He can play lots of different positions. So we're starting. There is an argument of jack of all trades, master of none, in all positions now. And in the summer, I was talking about the nuts and bolts wide eight. To replace the one we just lost. And there were a few free options out there. And I look back on that and think, I may have had a point. We may have needed that. I don't mind the Havertz thing. He's obviously very.
I think what you're saying now is really well. I think I could not agree more with what you're saying right now, because there is so much to be said for having an incredibly versatile squad. But then, look, I think let's start with Tierney, because he's an out-and-out left back and we let him go to Real Sociedad. Not playing makes you better every time you don't play. Real Sociedad aren't going to be going for Kieran Tierney long term. They don't see him as a long-term solution. He's been there since September. He came back from injury, was on the bench, started on Sunday. They let him go, but he was definitively a left back. And now Arteta to play, he was a left back. We let him go. We let Balogun, who's definitively a striker, go. He seems to not want to keep any player who's only got one position. And I think what you just said is absolutely spot on. You have fewer options if you don't have that one purpose-built player. Jesus, I love him. I'm glad he's an Arsenal player. I wouldn't want to see him leave. And I certainly wouldn't drop Nketiah on the bench. We had a player who was an out-and-out. We're being linked today with Callum Wilson, who I don't really want us to sign. But you know what Callum Wilson does when he comes on. And your point about the left eight, absolutely. Granit Xhaka was repurposed as a more box-to-box midfielder, but we knew he was a defensive-minded engine player. And we are looking at a team with fewer and fewer of those. We have goalkeepers who are definitively goalkeepers and centre-backs that are definitely that. But the rest of the pitch, I mean, Martinelli is a left winger, principally because he wants to be. He doesn't want to play centre forward. I'd like to see him play there. He played there for Brazil. I don't think he played that way. He did score. I wasn't impressed with him during the game, and it was, of course, a game where Colombia beat them. We don't have that player who is just that. You know exactly what you get. And Thomas Partey, when he starts playing him right back, Declan Rice, when I'm not sure if Declan Rice is to drop. I think we should drop Saka for just a bit, just to get his form back, because as much as I love him, he hasn't been playing that well. So we've got a comment here from Tessie May.
Sorry, go ahead.
And it says, well, I guess it was a choice between Balogun and Nketiah, and Arteta must trust Eddie more. And on that, I think you have to give Arteta some credit, because Balogun's been shit at Monaco. He has. He's been shit for the US men's national team, and he's been shit at Monaco. And I don't think that we did badly in selling him. It's a shame we didn't get to see him, but we got money for him.
He didn't want to stay. He didn't want to stay. He wanted guarantees that we couldn't give him, and he was hot after a good loan spell, and we got top dollar for him. Whereas Nketiah was more loyal and less and worth less. Not worthless.
I don't know. I don't know. I think you'd get 35 million for Nketiah right now. The market's inflated. There are teams out there that want him. I think Palace were interested. I don't get Palace. I work with a Palace fan who really knows his stuff, and he was talking about why they're dissatisfied. From the outside, it looks like, why are Palace fans so upset? What? Because they didn't win the league or Champions League? What are Palace fans hoping?
They should win. Minimum expectation. They should win the league every year.
They're too positive. That's why.
Exactly.
And I think here, and he goes on to say, I didn't like Balogun's attitude last year. Maybe that's unfair. No, I think...
I agree with you, yeah. I agree with you, Tezzy. Yeah.
When are you going to love a player who wants to leave Arsenal? Who really loves the players that want to leave? I did that poll, who's the best Spanish player ever at Arsenal? And I think you'd have to give Fabregas his flowers, but because he left, I just didn't like him. He was
with us for a long time. My first reaction was Arteta, because he gave us his all and he finished his career and that sort of thing. But Fabregas was a bit special, and you have to remember those moments. Remember that moment when he tackled back against Vieira and ended up on his arse, and Vieira didn't know what was coming. I was like, wow, look at that. Or the time when he had an injury and he came on, scored a free kick or a penalty or something like that, and then he had to hobble back off again because he was still injured. He gave a lot for us. He gave a hell of a lot for us. But you've got to understand,
Tilted lover.
We are Arsenal. This is back in the argument I made at the beginning. Robin van Persie did this as well. That they came and thought, yeah, this is a growing club, we're going to grow. And we didn't grow. We didn't grow. Okay? We are that just underneath the top level club. Got to accept that. All right? I'm happy with it. I'm at peace with it. It's all right by me. But some people...
Well, it doesn't make any... See, this is the point I would make. It doesn't matter if we're happy with it or not. You cannot change the reality of your situation by wishing it away. There's that expression, which is if you wish we were the best team in Europe, wish in one hand and shit in the other and see which one fills up first. You're not going to get all the stuff you wish for. You don't get what you wish for. You get what you work for. And there's nothing we can do as fans except cheer. If I honestly thought the way to win the Champions League would be to turn up and boo, I'd do it. I don't see it. Yeah. I don't see, Here's another comment from Tezzy May. Tezzy May, well done for commenting and thank you. Get involved if you're in the chat. But Arteta is big on attitude, so I trust him, even if occasionally he might not get everything right. I think that's supposed to say. Exactly. He is big on attitude. Yeah. I worry about this. I want to ask you about this, Sean, because he has a type of player that he likes. And one of the criticisms of him that I saw, which I can't really disagree with, that he won't bring in an Ivan Toney because the guy's got too big an ego. He's too much of a personality. Arteta has a problem with personalities. When you look around our team, they are all nice guys. I am keen to see if we could maybe sign someone with a bit more bite to them.
Absolutely, yeah. Even our number 6 is a nice guy. Now he can get riled. He's still English stroke Irish, which is a nice combination. But we did lose something, I think, regards to personality when Xhaka left. Kai Havertz is a technically step up. His work rate's amazing, great off the ball. He's got something. There obviously is a confidence issue there, but he's clearly a better technical footballer. But as a man on the pitch, is he that person? Yeah, I know we could focus on Alexander Trent-Arnold, against the Liverpool game when perhaps Xhaka didn't need to stick his elbow into or shoulder into his back and kick things off. But at the same time, there are a lot of other times there when he would growl at someone saying, "Get your fucking back into what's wrong with you," and perhaps missing that at the moment. Tony Adams obviously was someone that used to do that before.
I love the story Lee Dixon tells, because obviously he came from Stoke, and before his first North London derby, Tony Adams and Martin Keown pinned him up against the wall. I think it was Martin Keown. It might have been one of the other guys, and they went, "This is a fucking North London derby. We don't lose these." And he's like, "Bloody hell, this is my own team trying to kill me." He goes like, you need a bit of aggression. I don't think Martin Odegaard's an aggressive captain. Thomas Partey's not aggressive. I mean, where's the aggression in our team? you know, and that's something I'd love to see us go out and get. I don't know Zubamendi's temperament. I watched him in that match.
It'd be another technical player. It'd be another really technical player.
Versatile.
Yeah, play 15 different positions. No, I'm sure it'll be good, and I'm also sure we're going to sign him. I'm certain of it. Next in the summer, not now, but
yeah.
And he might be that number 8, but he won't be that gnarly.
He's not going to be the number 8. I'm certain he's not going to be the number 8. But I think I want to kind of highlight what you said and add a quote to it, because this is the problem with our versatility and always signing players who can, you know, as much as I like Xavi Simons, he's another one of those. Where's he going to play him? Anywhere, right? No, but where? Anywhere. You know, it's like, no, just pick a fucking position and play in there. But the point is, it's Bruce Lee says, I don't fear the man who's practiced 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times. The kind of player who can do that one job really bloody well. And in our case, it could be maybe set piece taker, you know, because Declan Rice's corners were brilliant. My only concern about having Declan Rice take the corners is that he's the sort of player you'd want at the back mopping up.
Definitely. That's where even under Wenger, under Arteta, it's one of our weak places, because it's in transition there. Under Wenger, we conceded loads of goals from our own corners. We scored none. At least we're scoring them now. We never used to score any under Wenger, but we conceded shitloads. You know,
we didn't score any for the first 2 or 3 years of Arteta's reign, because I think it was a whole year where every time we got a corner, I was getting steadily more and more pissed off. It was like, oh, I remember me and Chris used to go to football with a lot. We once were in the North Lower, and behind us was a school party. I think they were actual Arsenal youth players. And every time there was a corner, they were going, oh, it's a corner. Oh, it's a corner. And we were like, why are you cheering corners? Like, we suck at corners.
We were disgraceful, yeah. But now we're scoring more from set pieces than any other team. And if we weren't, then I might be on the other side making bad noises about Arteta. But I mean, that's what's keeping us afloat at the moment. Not just afloat, but, you know, comfortably in the top 4.
It was the anger. So when we were 2-0 up online, there was a lot of chat. Yeah, but we still haven't scored from open play. And you're like, oh, man, who cares? Like, seriously, who cares? You know, the George Graham era. Anyway, there's another comment here. When Alba was made captain, there were no other options. Now there's captains all over the pitch to choose from. But I agree, the killer is missing now. I agree as well, because you can't. I think Odegaard's a captain. I think Declan Rice probably is a more natural captain. I see Zinchenko has captain qualities. I see Jesus puts his arm around players. I like him, but I just want. I think it's in our. If we have a DNA as a club, it's a Tony Adams. If we had not. I think the other thing that I just wanted to make a note of was that I got somebody corrected me and said, I said, look, Gabriel's an Arsenal.
He wasn't Arteta signing. He said, yeah.
Like, yeah, but he was though.
Yeah, but he was though. Yeah.
So because Arteta came in December, and the following September, Gabriel came in. So we'll have to call that an Emery signing, will we? You don't even get credit for the players he does bring in. I
know. Well, that's confirmation bias, isn't it? I mean, it's exactly confirmation bias. You say, oh, you didn't win anything. You won the FA Cup. Yeah, but that doesn't count because he was only there 5 minutes. So, all right.
It wasn't his team. He's the one who sold Gabriel. Well, Gabriel hasn't been sold yet. Yes, he has. All right.
He's going to be.
Played it.
I
could play reverso psychology with anyone. You know what I mean? Like, don't you remember Arteta winning the Champions League? What were you? Did you miss it? Yeah, it's like crazy. I think
that's the problem. We're mixing, vinegar and oil here. When people don't realize that they're coming forward with an emotive premise, and they're trying to present it as if it's rational, objective. You try to argue it in a rational, objective way, but you're not actually arguing against a rational and objective point. It's not possible. You can't do it. So it descends extremely quickly into mudslinging. You know, oh, ha, ha, ha. And like that absolute tit that was on your site before. I mean, who is he? How can anyone be that bored? You know?
I don't know, because I'm really gutted, because I wish I could spend as much time on my site as he does. It's like, I even said to him, I said, like, couldn't you just get yourself
all over the place? I mean, what's wrong with him?
I don't know, because the thing is, when I first saw it, you're talking about the real League Gunner talks facts,
something like that, yeah.
Right. So when I first saw that, I was taking a break at work, got my phone out. I thought, oh my God, League Gunner's posted on, that'll be interesting. And then I realized, oh, it's not League Gunner. It's somebody who wishes they were League Gunner.
Someone's named themselves after League Gunner, like, you know, as their kind of,
how does that work?
Kind of signature line there, you know what I mean?
Like, how do you take someone seriously? And the other one is
rapper. That's my name on YouTube now.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm Colonel Gaddafi. Like, pick an odious character from history and just go, yeah, I'm Colonel Gaddafi 2024, you know, telling it like it really is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, speaking the truth.
Speaking bare truth, blood. Yeah. Do you know what was really lovely? There was a really lovely post from Scouser. And again, I just love Liverpool fans. I think they're connoisseurs of football. My God, I don't know what they're doing right, but their team has just, I mean, they've outperformed us ever since I was born, and I'm jealous as hell. But they've seen some great players. I mean, we've seen some great players, and he was, you know, he was saying it's so funny to actually hear an Arsenal fan who doesn't say blood every other word or fam. And I think one of the things I was really keen to do with the channel was go, look, we're not all the same. There's room in our fan base for everyone. You know, one of the great things about Arsenal from the get-go was that we were cosmopolitan in a way that Chelsea never were, in a way that most London teams never were. In a time in the early 80s, late 70s, where there was endemic nationalism and horrible crap at football. But Arsenal was always a club where you got people from all backgrounds. And I appreciate that.
And you know,
and just as you, like, you know, obviously living and working in Holloway for as long as I did, of course I'm familiar with the, you know, the kind of the modern English language, and I'm not railing against it. Language is fluid and it moves on, but it doesn't move on quickly enough for me. I can't with a straight face sit here and go, allow it, bruv. You know, I like man's got to show some chest, innit? Because I didn't grow up speaking that way. People do and did.
Because you're not retarded. You actually use words in the dictionary and all that sort of thing. Look, we went to school, central London, Arsenal territory, slightly west, but at the same time, we got out of that. We're just at this age now. You just turned 50. I'm just about to turn 50. Where all of that blood stuff, all of that in it stuff, came just after we kind of moved on from it. You know what I mean? So we didn't get that badly affected by it. We're familiar with it. We know it. It's all right. We have a bit of a laugh with all that sort of thing. But I'm not going to embrace it, because it's all about trying to get a rise off people with using as little articulacy as you can possibly manage. You know, and I'm sorry if that sounds a bit aloof or posh.
No, man. No. It's the interchangeable nature of the word man. Suddenly, man's got to decide what he's doing. Okay, which man? My man, innit? All right, look, don't get me wrong. You know, I know many of us have friends who actually speak like that, younger than us. Fair enough. I'm not trying to. When I was growing up and you were growing up, people used to say "watcher," and there were Cockneys who spoke in Cockney rhyming slang, and you'd have a bit of a, you know, and that was the North London was that, right? They've gone now, and but we're still alive. I can't be, you know, I'm not League Gunner. I'm not Troops. I'm not the guys. I'm not Jamaican. I don't speak patois. And what I think really motivated me was that's what most of these people think we all are. And why would
they assume? Yeah, they do. But I mean, as you know, I lived in the Caribbean for a year. I actually lived there, which I'd be amazed if Troops had. And you know, that whole patois thing is quite a small part of the culture, you know, and it's a sort of part that you'd think. It's the sort of part of the rest of the culture when they catch wind of it, they go, okay, I'm gonna go that way. I'm gonna go the other way.
Wouldn't you be embarrassed if you went to a football match in, let's say, Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, or Jamaica, and everyone was going, "All right, mate, how are you? You all right, geezer? Sweet as a nut." You'd be like, in America, my New York mates all used to make me cringe because they try and sound like a Cockney. They go,
"Oh no,
are you going down the battle cruiser?" You know, and it's like, it would be as bad as me trying to sound like I'm from New York, you know, which, listen, they're all cool. I love, you know, the times I've been to the Caribbean, I love everything about it. However, right, I speak like me, you speak like you. There's James McNicholas, who I like, Arse blogger, like there's Irish people who support. My granddad was Glasgow. He wouldn't have sounded like me. I don't care what people sound like, but what's important is that I find that where you get like a guy like Lee Gunner speaks facts, he sounds like the person he's trying to be, and that's inauthentic. And if you're just going to sound like someone else, you're just an echo. You don't need to be an echo in life. Just sound like how you actually sound. Who's that one that I got you into? I think you still watch him. I haven't watched him recently. Harvey Grayson.
yeah,
He's a public school boy. He loves Arsenal. He's got he spits bare facts, bruv. Let me tell you, I swear down, man. Like you can be an Arsenal fan and sound like whoever the fuck you want, right? So why is it they're all sounding exactly the same?
Well, yeah, and you're just edging on a point there, which I think is a really important one, is that how you say something is merely an embellishment. The most important thing is what you say. And you can say it however you want. Sometimes, you know, there are comedians out there who who will make the funny thing they have to say much funnier by the way they say it. But it's not just funny because of how they said it. It was a funny thing in the first place.
Yeah,
right?
The content's got to be funny to
lose
begin
sight
with.
of that, you know, just because I think it's a way of coding between sort of fellow like ignorant fools to say, I'm just going to drop into this stupid accent to let you know I'm joking, to let you know to start laughing. Doesn't matter what I'm going to say. I'm just going to start talking stupid as a cue for you to go, oh no man, that is well funny. You know what I mean? That is well funny. No man.
Well funny, bruv. Well funny, blood, bruv.
And it hurts my brain. It really does. Just say something interesting. Have a look into something. Come up with an opinion and say it. And if it turns out to be funny, then embellish it with some stupid action. It'll be a little bit more funny. Well done.
Yeah.
Those are the rules.
I mean, listen. It is the world we live in, and I totally get that we are a different generation. So what we're just a couple of old fuckers just complaining about the youth them, right? That's what it is. That's how it will be. They used to say that about us when we went around going, "That's wicked, man," and that's dry, and that's
exactly. Yeah,
that's how it is.
What's wicked, right? Exactly?
Yes. What do you mean? You're using the word wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not, you know. But my problem with some of the, I tell you what, I just want to do a shout out. I know we've mentioned him a couple of times, and he was on the comments a moment ago. Lee Gunner speaks facts. Apart from the inherent problem with the grammar in that, which it just irks me. I just cannot say how grateful I am for people who spend as much time as they do on my channel, because whether they realize it or not, they are helping to get this channel recognized by people who are more like us, people who do recognize that there's no such thing as toxic positivity. And the number of people that have joined the channel in the last couple of days has just been, you know, like, I've got no right to expect it, and I'm hugely grateful. And so many people with support. And I did a poll just to see where we're at. And I know Chalker's comment was my favorite. Always love Chalker's. I said, are you Arteta in or out? And he was like, is this even a question? And I was like, yeah, it is a question. And the pleasant thing was it is still 3-1 in favor of Arteta. So we are the majority, but we don't shout about it as much. The empty vessel makes the most noise. You're always going to hear the people who grab the headlines by saying Arteta is an arsehole, you know, he's ruining my club. You know, we used to be able
ruining, exactly.
Ruining's the meme, innit? Ruining this club. Ruined, we're ruined.
Yeah, because
ruined us into
we're
second.
winning everything. We're winning the Champions League every season, and now we're not. And it's Arteta's fault. That's what ruining means. Ruining means destroying something that was actually like successful before. What we're doing, what we have managed to do, what Arteta's managed to do rather quickly, if you ask me, is halt our slide into mid-table mediocrity, which was happening, guys.
We were worse than mid-table. We were shit.
Exactly. And he brought us straight back up to second place to this team with unlimited funds and the best manager in the world. It's like, oh, I couldn't even beat them.
I've just put Lee Gunner speaks factors here.
Well done.
Stop lowering the standards.
Hello, mate.
Listen, I tell you, if I could think of a way to lower the standards below copying, pretending to be someone else, and then repeatedly regurgitating the same half-considered nonsense, I would join your channel, Lee. I would join it if there was one.
You look happy, Lee. Your photo, you look like a happy guy. It's a winning white smile, and I admire you for it.
Do you know what? Is that, someone tell me, is that a you dem thing right now that you have to be someone, you can't, like, you know, am I supposed to be someone else? Who should I, right, Genghis Khan 2024. Allow it, bruv. That's my new thing. You know, it's like, can't you just be yourself? Is the real self, would the real Colin please stand up? You know, Colin.
Look, listen, Lee Gunner speaks facts. Fair play for turning up. I admire you for that. Well done, mate.
You're Tezzy, you're barking up the wrong tree here, because the question you've just asked is, if you hate the content so much, why are you wasting your time here? He has no idea. He has no idea.
We're hopefully going to find out over the course of the next 20 minutes or so.
Oh, brown envelopes. I'm apparently getting brown envelopes. What difference does it make what color the envelopes are, by the way? Have you seen an envelope?
What do you mean? Could you expand on that, Lee? I'm not 100% clear.
Lee, please, can you?
On what you're saying.
You have the floor, Lee. You are.
You think we're being bribed to get the 7 followers to
No, Lee Gunner hasn't got. Lee Gunner speaks facts, or Lee Gunner speaks facts. I don't know why.
Yeah, but Lee Gunner at the moment speaks code. You know what do you mean by brown envelopes, mate? Come on, talk to us.
He's implying. I can tell you what he's implying. He's probably furiously typing. I think what's happened is his mum's just walked in and found him wanking, and still left a cup of tea and a biscuit on the side for him, and gone, "Oh, Colin,
oh, Lee, we talked about this."
His name's not Lee. I'm here to expose these mutants talking waffle, and PR. These guys are on the payroll.
I thought we were mates.
Mate, I am proper.
That's nasty. That's nasty.
I am on. We are on the payroll, Sean. See, like, man, I'm drinking Bear Cavossier, bro.
Yeah, on the payroll, innit? And I'm saying, right?
Innit?
On the payroll. I wish I was. I wish you flatter me. You flatter me. Do you think I'm getting paid by Arsenal, or is it by Arteta himself?
No, it's Arteta himself, probably.
Is it?
But in fact, I'm Salt Bay. It was my hand he was caressing. Lee, can you say something you haven't said before? Because I actually suddenly occurred to me, you're probably a bot, aren't you? You're a naughty little bot to you.
You're going to spank his body.
Yeah. Do you know what? I do honestly think that Lee Gunner speaks facts is somebody who is a victim of toxic positivity, because there clearly weren't enough people ready to give him a little butt hiding when he was a... Where's he gone? Like, why is it the minute you actually open them up to a debate, they just disappear?
They disappear when you laugh at them.
Hang on, I've got to get this. Mikel, yes.
Brown envelopes.
Yes. I'm going to need more money to engage with this prick. Yeah, can you? We're going to have to up it. Yeah, I want his pocket money as well. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Lee Gunner speaks facts. He doesn't. He just...
At this point, I should say, oh, there we go. Show
your messages.
Show your messages.
That's not a debate. Oh, here we go. You know you got Arteta. Well, this is going to be funny. You know you got Arteta and that elephant mutant over AFT on your WhatsApp. Yeah, I have. Yes, I have. In fact, Arteta dropped Martinelli because I told him to. And now I'm going to say to Arteta, don't you dare win the Champions League. I want Lee Gunner speaks facts to be right for once in his miserably short life.
You seem to speak his kind of hybrid language. What do you think you mean by the elephant mutant over at AFTV?
Elephant mutant. Well, I don't know why he keeps going on about mutants.
Yeah, another mutant.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm guessing it's something to do with the fact he can't get a girlfriend. Is it something to do with that? Is it that women won't look at you? I don't know. Is that what you get called in your? I don't know. It's probably, I don't know. It's very hard to criticize a person pretending to be somebody else who speaks in memes.
Yeah. But yeah, you got that. And by the way, Spanish for brown envelope is sobre morado. Okay.
Oh, there you go. And as if to
prove there we go.
I've got to come clean. I'm Lee Gunner Speaks.
Wasn't it? We're due another brown envelope comment. Yeah.
Oh, mate, it's brilliant. You guys upload fake videos and PR transfers. Oh, this is what made me laugh. Do you know he commented? I did that Benzema video yesterday where I said Benzema's not coming to Arsenal.
Yeah, which I never.
He was so busy writing brown envelopes, he didn't have time. It probably takes him a long time to write the words brown and envelopes together. But he was like, "You idiot." Yeah, or something like that. I don't speak gibberish, but he was saying something like, Benzema's not coming to Arsenal. And I was like, wait.
That's what I said.
Accidentally
you're
agreeing
deluded.
with me. I know, I'm deluded for agreeing with him.
You're deluded.
I agree with him that I'm deluded when I agree with him. The fact that he doesn't think Benzema's coming makes me want to check news right now, in case he's actually here, because... No, he isn't.
What's a fake video? Even is a fake video?
It's not really a video. It's a series of pixelated drawings.
Is it an aubergine? What's it? I mean, what is it then? If it's fake, I mean, it's a video, right? So it has to be a video, otherwise you couldn't upload it, right?
No, it's a fake video.
Oh, back to that again? No, you must have gone back to that.
No, I've accidentally clicked that. I just enjoyed it so much. Here we go. Brown envelopes, FC. You guys are here to spread the toxic positivity and lower.
That's it. No, he is definitely on a wind up. I think he might be one of our mates. I think he might be. And someone, one of our mates.
I can tell you that I don't dislike any. There isn't anyone I have such a low opinion of amongst our mates that I would. Who do you reckon it is?
Because toxic positivity wasn't even one of his comments, so he's read through the other comments.
Yeah.
And so on and so on. So that is pure wonder. Look, fair play to you for the wind up. Lee Gunner Speaks Facts.
And also, I cannot thank you enough, Lee, because you spend so much time on this channel that the YouTube. I know you don't really understand big words and things. I'm going to try and make this right. What's happening, blood? Yeah, is that bare time you spend on my channel, innit? Yeah, YouTube's going wagwan there. There's something big happening. It's popping off, bruv. So let's send bare people there, and that's what's happening, Lee. What's happening is every time you say you don't like it, YouTube goes, well, if he doesn't like it, let's send all the sensible people like Tezzy, and they will like it. So please don't go anywhere, Lee. I know it's a school night, but let's be honest, the chances of you getting through school, not good anyway.
Or getting laid. Or getting laid.
He's not getting laid.
Yeah, no, he's not getting laid.
This guy could live till he's 40 and never get a fucking sniff. Do you know what I mean? Honestly. Unless he slips Lee Gunner a Rohypnol or something.
I reckon Lee Gunner's around there right now. I think he's at the desk. Lee Gunner's under the desk. Right? That's what's going on right now. It's a dead ringer.
I think I don't think I'd have a lot of time for the actual Lee Gunner. I don't know. I've never met him. I won't question his personality. I don't think we'd get on, but you never know. But I think both of us would think this prick is an idiot. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I ever got to the stage where there was someone going around going, Dan, Duna channel spits fact, I would tell him to stop. I bet Lee Gunner sent him inbox. I mean, if he ever finds out about this guy, he'd be like, how dare you? That's my picture, you bellend. Unless you're the real Lee Gunner.
Oh. You never know. You never know. But look, this is someone who's gone along and he's decided to get on your posts and he's get on your live and, try and cause a little bit of,
I know.
I don't know what.
I'm going to have to, with breaking news, we have another up to the minute comment from Lee Gunner speaks facts. Before we put it on here, does anyone want to guess which combination of the words brown and envelopes are going to pop up in this? I haven't read it. I'm just guessing, but it's going to have the word standards or envelopes in it. That's a given. Let's see. You guys are placed here to lower the standards and brainwash fans to accept mediocre because you have the best looking Spaniard in the world. Oh, do you know what? That's another one that really bothers me because Melts, that's one of ours. You can't have that and be Pat. You like Melts is old school. You Toby.
Best looking Spaniard?
Yeah, he's got a hard on for Mikel. I don't know. Did you ever used to support? Do you think anyone's ever supported Man United because they fancied Alex Ferguson? So, I mean,
because you have the best looking. We have the best.
But you haven't even touched on the fact that he's not finished. First of all, there's no punctuation, so you have to read it like this. You guys are placed here to lower the standards of brainwash fans to accept mediocre because you have the best looking Spaniard in the world. You Melts. But accept mediocre what? You haven't put the premise there. So, like, I don't know. I know that. I don't know.
I'm still trying to mince this one up, to be honest. We've been placed here.
Hang on. I've got Edu on the line. Wait there. What's he saying? Stop picking on him. Stop picking him.
Brainwash fans to accept me. How many fans are we?
And how are we brainwashing people as well? And how is a person who has copied somebody else's profile and is saying all the things he's heard that person say, how does that person have the temerity to accuse anyone of A, brainwashing someone and B, being brainwashed? But it's cultish behaviour.
I've got another question. If we love Arteta so much to the point where we're actually being paid to love him, why have we never mentioned how good looking he is and you have?
I'm not going to lie. I do think that, like he's the best looking manager.
It's the Lego hair. It's the Lego hair.
He does have Lego hair. And also, just for men. Bullshit. No one's been a football manager.
He's got one grey hair, exactly.
Not one. Bullshit. Absolutely. I'm calling bullshit. Now I know I'm old.
Grey, he just picks that one hair up, picks the other hair and puts it back on. Exactly.
There's no way on God's sake. Look at Pep, for Christ's sake. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe Arteta doesn't care enough because if he hasn't got a single grey hair,
Guardiola's hair. That's why.
He just never.
There's no fucking hair.
He is a beautiful man, but like I don't really know what that's got to do with anything. I thought Tony Adams was beautiful, by the way.
Look, I thought he was all right, but Lee Gunner seems to have the inside track on him on his ass. So, off you go, mate. I don't really need to hear about it, but
brown envelopes. You guys, that's it. Is he gone? Lee, please don't go.
Is he not there?
I don't know. I think he's gone. Is it bedtime already? No, it can't be. Has he had his cocoa and he's been sent to? All right. Well, we can probably stop talking about Lee Gunner now anyway, as amusing as he is. Or not Lee Gunner, sorry. Lee Gunner speaks facts.
That was fun. I enjoyed that.
Some of the facts that are being spoken haven't happened yet.
Oh, that's always the problem, isn't it?
Yeah. And some of the facts, by the way, are that I'm being paid. Oh, it is a school night. Tezzy's confirmed that. Also, some of the facts are brown envelopes. There is such a thing as a brown envelope. I can guarantee that. I don't know what relevance it has. And also, in the modern electronic age, for Christ's sakes, if I was getting bungs, wouldn't it be wire transfer?
Couldn't it be like Bitcoin or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Can I suggest, actually, I might start a cryptocurrency and just call it Speaks Facts. Have a picture of a curled up sphincter, a tightening sphincter, which is what I think he actually looks like.
Oh dear. It's facts with Zeds. Have the Zeds, man. Otherwise, it's not real. Got to be real with the Zeds.
I'll just say in it because if I don't really know what's going on, I'll just go in it. But Lee Gunner Speaks Facts. I'd love to know more about you. Where are you from? Where are you actually from? Have you been to London? Do you know anyone in London? Do you ever? I don't know. Why did you pick Arsenal? Because it just seems like it's not really the club for you.
Wouldn't you prefer your geography homework?
No. This is a kid. I can guarantee you this. This kid has a very portly mother who overfeeds him. overstimulates him. He gets far too much orange squash, and it's wreaking havoc with this poor lad. And I do feel for him. He's the sort of person that he's an incel, isn't he? You know, I said this. He was up playing Fortnite at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know how he has the energy. I don't have the energy to dedicate to this channel that Lee Gunner speaks.
Yes, in our day. No, this Fortnite, this newfangled Fortnite business.
Tomb Raider. That's what we had. You want to get yourself a bit of Tomb Raider, mate? Bit of what was that? What was that Sega game that we used to play at Dermot's with the football? And it wasn't even in the right angle. I mean, Jesus, it was shit, wasn't it? What was it? FIFA. I think it might have been one of the early FIFAs.
FIFA was terrible back in our day.
FIFA 93.
Yeah, a lot of the people are not even born. Yeah.
I know. Well, I will look. Let's bring it back to serious note. I remember my brother really opened my eyes, actually, because this was a few years ago. This was while Wenger was still in charge, and we were driving up to see Holly in Northampton, and I was like, how can these people have no respect for Wenger? Like, what all he did for us? And he was like, Dan, a lot of these guys, they weren't around for the good times, so now they're just dealing with years of shit. And it was like, oh, of course, yeah. I mean, like, think about it. If you're 20 or younger, you've never seen us win anything. Of course you're angry, because that's your whole life is so bleak and shit that until we win something, you're never going to have any fun at all. And you've never experienced winning anything. So you genuinely believe that when we win the league, your life is going to be better and the girls at school will speak to you. And then you don't know better. So I feel like we're overprivileged, because I did experience 89, 91. I did experience 97, 98, 2002, 2004. And basically, I'm not to start a conspiracy, but we all know it. We were robbed. Barcelona, 2006. I'm not convinced there wasn't some brown envelopes, because like to send off a keeper in that stage of the game, it's a king joke, isn't it? But you know, thank God we didn't win it then, because then we'd have to execute anyone who hadn't won it every season since. You know, how can you be happy with this mediocrity? Where have you gone, Lee? I miss you. These are words I never thought I'd say. I salute you, Lee Gunner.
I'm amazed he came and showed up, actually. There we go.
He's a bot. He's blatantly a bot, because he never responds to anything anyone said. You guys are placed here. No, that's me putting one of his old messages up because I miss him. You guys are placed here to lower the standards and brainwash fans to accept mediocre because you have best-looking Spaniard in the world. You melt.
It's true. He never actually responds to anything you say, right?
Do you think English is his first language? Because I mean, from a grammar point of view, it clearly isn't. I don't know. Oh, here we go. I've only been a Gooner since the 18-19 season. I'm enjoying the journey with Arteta in charge. Tezzy, that's so good to hear, man. Like, I can only tell you, like, when I started supporting in 83, it was pretty bleak. But then George Graham came in and it seemed to take an upward turn. You know, 86, 87, we won the League Cup. 88 was a bit average, but you saw progress. And then 89 was just amazing. And you feel better for winning a league if you've invested something into the story. I really hope that you get to experience your first title as an Arsenal fan, because it is a great feeling. There's no question about it. I miss it. You know, I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah. Remember this, Tezzy, that all these managers out there, you know, Ten Hag was supposed to be brilliant. You know, the guy that was at Chelsea now at Bayern Munich is supposed to be brilliant. There are all these people out there, these big names. Ancelotti, didn't he do well at Everton? You know, all these sorts of things. All these big names that everyone pulls out their arse when they say that their current manager is a piece of shit. You know, the fact of the matter is, what you want from your club is a relationship. It's not. You know, I don't want to go as far as saying, which I would agree with, as someone else said, that it's not about winning. It's not about winning. It's about having a relationship, having an understanding of the character of your club, saying this is our identity, and all the other people is how it's supposed to be. They understand this identity and they're with me on the same boat, and we're going for it. When we're rocking and rolling and we're living the ups and downs together. That is what following a football team is about. Whereas unfortunately, in order to compete commercially, you need to get a lot of other people other than that core fan support, and those can often be dicks. Because they don't understand the character. They don't want to understand. They don't see why they should understand the character, and they're like, no, but what's in it for me? Where's my trophies? Where's this? Why can't I lord over my mates? My mates are lording over me. Those are those people, and they're a pain in the ass, and we're just gonna have to put up with them.
And it used to be we got that shit from Tottenham fans. I mean, I've had Tottenham fans who are very close friends in the past, and I had a friend who was Yid Army. He was a proper hooligan, and he hated us with a passion, but we still got on. And he talked so much shit, and Tottenham fans do talk shit. They're doing it now. They're talking about how we bottled it last season. They were top of the league, talking about how they're going to win it this season. They're outside the top 4, and we can't call them bottlers because we bottled it bigger than them. Because anyway, but I totally agree with everything you just said. It's about a character. Otherwise, what are Newcastle fans doing watching football? I mean, we weren't the only team that didn't win the league last year, were we?
How many trophies are there, and how many teams are there? Like we won the Community Shield, right?
We've beaten Pep's team twice.
Is that more important than finishing 4th, 3rd, 2nd, or 1st? Is that more important? People laugh about this whole trophy thing. Wenger said it's like a trophy. He said it's like a trophy.
And also, I'm not going to.
If we did go unbeaten, one season before we actually did.
No, but there's two things. I'm glad you brought it up. There's two things. There's one that everyone says, Wenger was happy with 4th. I think in the context of what he had to work with, he lost his way by the end. We all know that. But I felt an enormous amount of loyalty to him for what he did for this club. But now I actually hate him. I hate Arsene Wenger, and here's why. If it hadn't been for Arsene Wenger, the Invincibles, then fans like Lee Gunner would not be supporting us. They would be in their natural position as Man United fans, or they would be Chelsea fans, because Chelsea were winning stuff, and that's all they've done, right? And it's in their DNA, apparently. So, unfortunately, the period of success Arsene Wenger brought to us encouraged people to join our fan base who aren't welcome in it. You're just not welcome. Like, it's like being at a party with someone who goes, this isn't very good. I've been to a much better party. You just naturally move away from them, go and stand next to somebody who's having a good time. The worst thing about this is that these people love being miserable. If you hate Arsenal, if you hate Arteta, if you can't stand Edu, you don't like the Cronkies, and you think all the fans are wankers, here's an idea. Pick a different team. I got so many people saying to me, I should choose a different team. I love this club. I've loved this club since I was 8 years old. I've loved this club since I knew how to love a club. I love Arsenal. Always loved Arsenal. Love the fans. Not all of them, obviously. Lee Gunner speaks fact. I am talking about you, by the way. And I don't love Arteta because he's gorgeous. It's not that kind of love. It's the platonic love an older man who doesn't know how to keep the grey hairs from sprouting through has for a man who's managed it. Unless he's drinking baby's blood or something, that could be the thing. I don't know.
I knew it. Yeah, I didn't want to say it. Out of brown envelopes.
Did you know that this is another Tessie comment? The sense of entitlement is crazy amongst top 6 fans. It's true. Do you know one of the most embarrassing things about the Super League was when they were talking about us as a top 6 club, and you're like, well, we're not really a top 6 club anymore.
Exactly.
We're not. We'd be doing all right if we were in the top 6.
Top 6 revenue is the point. We're top 6 revenue.
Well, I don't. Did you see that today? Tottenham are the richest club in London. Do you get a trophy for that? Of course, you don't get a trophy for that. Otherwise, they'd just narrowly miss it, wouldn't they? The winning would mean nothing if it was easy. Hallelujah.
I agree with you. Yeah,
that's what Man City fans are miserable about right now. Because what are they going to do this season? They win it again. Oh well.
Certainly. No, it wouldn't be easy. You've got to have sorrow in order to experience joy. It's they're the yin and yang. And they're vital. They absolutely are. But what really happens is when you come through against adversity, is why we like to complain about refereeing decisions and, you know, bad weather and injuries and this, that, and the other. And then if you come through at the end and you win it, which we still might, by the way.
I know, sick, isn't it? I don't think we will. Like, just make that clear.
No, I don't like how good Liverpool are at mopping up 3 points at the moment. They're scaring me. But we might end up winning it. You never know. And if we do, it will be despite all of those things, and that will make it 10 times sweeter as a result.
Yeah, I think there is just something to be said for the fact that Pep Guardiola, in my opinion, is the best manager who ever lived. Jurgen Klopp is probably the second best manager in the world. I mean, how he's put a team together with he let all his midfielders go and brought in brand new ones, and some of them some of them look the shit, don't they? I mean, Szoboszlai looks decent. I mean, like, honestly,
Ido looks good. I mean, he played really well against them. But you know, it's just these things happen. They had a bad season. They went off in the wrong angle, and they didn't recover for the whole season. You know?
Yeah. Are other fans as toxically positive as us? Is anyone else as toxically positive as us? Are Liverpool fans? So, because to be honest with you, I do think Liverpool fans are toxically positive, because all the 30 years they weren't winning must have been hard on them. You know, they have although saying that, in the 30 years they weren't winning the league, they were still winning the Europe. I mean, how they're so good in the Champions League, it's absurd. Newcastle fans, toxically positive. Villa fans. It was before I started. The first football matches I can really remember were 82. 82, I remember the World Cup. Which was
Mexico?
No, it was in Spain.
Oh, that was Spain. Oh,
yeah, Spain 82. 86 was, I want to say, actually, where was that? It was Azteca, was Mexico, where we lost to Argentina.
It was Europe, then somewhere else, then Europe, and somewhere else, wasn't it?
Yeah, so 90, obviously, Italia. 94 was the USA. That was shit.
Well, I mean, we didn't qualify, did we?
It was shit. It was shit having to watch Ireland as my team. You know, it was like, you know, of course you're not allowed to do that. Really, you have to have one team, and if they're not playing, you can't support anyone. You have to turn off.
Well, Townsend, back to Aston Villa again. He was Villa captain, wasn't he?
Well, Villa. This is why I brought it up, because Villa last won the league in '80, and they won the European Cup as well. Nottingham Forest won it, and it was 81, I think. Villa won it, but I mean, what have Villa fans been cheering for the last 42 years? 43.
One of my best mates is a Villa fan, and
Andy, right?
He stopped following football because of Villa. He started following rugby.
Right, well, there you go then.
I'm not even joking.
Hey, Lee Gunner speaks facts. Have you thought about that? Basketball's fun. You could watch basketball. Maybe that's the sport where you're from. I don't know. I'm going to run a competition. Let's all guess where he's
really positive about basketball, please.
Or American football. These are all great. I mean, I think he's a cunt bot. I think that's what he is. I think the Middlesbrough fans, man. I always think of Middlesbrough fans, because how do you put up with that? Like, honestly, 97, they get relegated. They get beaten in 2 cup finals and relegated. Wouldn't that just put you off football for life? And then 2 weeks ago or a week ago, whenever they played Chelsea in the first leg, they beat them 1-0 and they're so excited and they're so happy. And then they get turned over 6-1. I mean, what is it? Like, Sunderland fans or Man City fans for donkey's years, like when they were 22,000 City. I know they get a lot of heat at the moment because they don't have fans, but I think that's bullshit. Real Man City fans, you have my total respect, because I tell you what, man, like if you were a City fan and you went to that York game in whatever it was 20 years ago, fair fucks, man, you deserve a Champions League. You know, we've never put up with the pain to get a Champions League relative to that. You know, I'd like to see Middlesbrough fans get something, maybe a League Cup or something before they die. But then, you know, Brighton, brilliant team. Love watching them. Roberto De Zerbi gets nothing but praise. Plays 2 keepers interchangeably. Genius. Absolute genius when De Zerbi does it. You know, look, I've got 2 keepers and I play them interchangeably. Hey, Scott's turned up. Hello. Hey, chaps. God, what time is it? Oh, yes, of course it is. It's like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning over there, isn't it?
All right, Scott.
Scotty, a man from tomorrow. Always good to see you, mate. But don't bring your toxic positivity here. Don't be cheerful or happy. This is a somber. This is a somber place. Yeah, I mean, are there other teams that must be looking at us now and going, do you know what? The problem at Arsenal is their toxic positivity. We've got to inject a little bit of absolute rampant negativity into our format now. You know, maybe in a match day program can just be someone swinging from a gallows. You know, that I don't know.
Well, what's it going to be? What do we expect moving on for the rest of the season? Do you think that Arsene Arteta is going to whip them into shape and get them playing quicker transitions? Are we going to
start? My gut feel honestly is that we are going to struggle against Nottingham Forest away. I would love to be massively and toxically positive about the game against Palace. They were abject. And I thought Saka still looked tired. Rice still didn't look his best. Martin Odegaard, who'd been our best player going into the break, was back to not really knowing how to link the play. Martinelli came on and was great. Trossard took his goal really well. Jesus played a blinder. I just hope that another 10 days break. I think we're not rotating nearly enough and these players are just knackered. And also I wonder how much it affects them to know that I know KT's injured again. It's just a bad
yeah,
season.
Another hamstring, wasn't it? Yeah.
He's out for a month, they reckon. And but before he was out for a month, he was on the bench, and they'd already said Sociedad aren't extending. Big Gabby was a mountain. Love him. Listen, the thing is, and this touches on what you were talking about, Sean. You can love Jesus and Gabriel and Saliba and all these players, right? Even if we don't win the league, you're allowed to love them. I thought, like, his headed goal, the first goal, that was desire, that was passion. I think when it comes to players like Jesus, though, I realise everyone says, oh, he's not a proven clinical finisher. All right, but I like watching him. You know, I like watching the football they play. I wish it was a little bit better against the low block or against teams that defend, like we used to call it. You know, we just go. But
it's a low block now. No, it's actually
it's a low block, inverted low block, full back four, twisted knuckle, dragged across the floor. I don't know. I'm not a tactician.
Well, no, it's a point because I mean, what is Jesus for me? You know, if you want to equate him to players gone by, he's close-ish to being sort of Dennis Bergkamp, better off the ball than Bergkamp was. Floating player, but he was never the furthest forward. He'd have Ian Wright, he'd have Henry, he'd have someone else ahead of him. But the problem is that we've got Odegaard, who is a midfielder who does that, more or less.
We've got a few, to be fair. I mean, the thing that drives me mad is when Martinelli gets dropped, Trossard gets out of place. You could have played Emil Smith-Rowe out wide. I think Emil Smith-Rowe deserves time. I was glad to see him get 20 minutes because that's more than he ever usually gets.
And Jesus is the one person who may be good enough to play right wing instead of Saka.
No, you can't not play Saka. Saka has to play every minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Saka
was the one person who can do something funky out there that maybe Saka couldn't do.
Well, he played there for City and won a league title.
Havertz, the most popular signing that we've ever had, up front. And
you said Havertz, so you must be evil. Really want to see more of ESR. Do you know what, Tezzy? It's an absolute pleasure to have you here because you're spitting bare facts, bro. It's absolutely true.
Them's just facts, do it.
Allow that, mate. They're facts. No, it's so true. Listen, we all want to see more of Emil Smith-Rowe because he is a progressive ball-carrying player who really lights up the place. Scotty, good comment. I think Jesus works way better on the wing. I kind of agree with you, but I do love how deep he comes. I just don't know if it works against teams that, you know, two banks of four set up against you. Who am I to question that, really? But I would say it would be worth dropping Saka just for a bit. The poor lad, man. Like, imagine that. Imagine going to work every day and go, can I have a holiday? And no. It's a chance. I mean, I know everybody always wants to play every match, but you must look at the fixture list and go, 70 games of getting kicked by 2 defenders everywhere I go. Why not give Jesus a chance? Also, and it's a point I made right at the start of the show, which I'm happy to debate with anyone. Either Reece Nelson is an Arsenal player or he is not an Arsenal player. If we're paying him, it'd be like, I mean, he doesn't do anything. He never brings him on. He never gets a chance. He's obviously not good enough to replace Saka. I don't think anyone is. But at a certain point, you have to give people some game time.
I think you should have some more game time. And as on top of that, I'd say I don't think he looks terrible. The only problem when he comes on, he's on so much pressure because he gets so few minutes that he tries to do too much with every minute. You know, he's not relaxed enough. So it ends up being a self-fulfilling prophecy. That, you know, I think he's quality as a backup, good top quality backup. But when he comes on, he has to try and prove himself against the world, and as a result, he has like heavy first touches, and he tries to take people on when he shouldn't, and all that kind of thing. You've got to give him 20 minutes or more to actually just feel himself into the game, so that he doesn't have to feel he has to win it by himself.
I mean, that's it, isn't it? Like, if you're going to give, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of players at the moment where, I mean, I think there are 4 players in our squad that I just love to see the back of. I don't dislike all of them by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't have any time for Fabio Vieira. I don't think Eddie Nketiah is good enough, and I like Eddie Nketiah. I hate saying it. But for me, look, let's be serious. Cedric,
we'll start with Cedric. Yeah? Not even Cedric thinks that Cedric should be there.
I know.
So that one's a given. Let's just put that one in our back pocket and say Cedric, yeah. But health it does look better. We're getting better, Tezzy. We are getting better. But you know, there's a long way to go, and a lot of people with no patience don't realise this. That our bench 2 seasons ago
also, if it is better, it doesn't make any bloody difference how much better it is if none of them ever come on. Like against Palace, I think Palace, hopefully... No, the only thing I'd say about it is he made 3 substitutions and then 2 were forced by injury. So I don't know if he would have done 5. But if against Forest, I'd love to see him rotate more. I mean, here's a point that gets made by far smarter people than me all the time. And he says, look, it's all right, but we should have enough about us against Palace to not have to play Saka, right? Palace was so abject. You could have played Trossard on one wing. You could have played Eddie up front. You could have literally put out a second string team and had those players to come on. You saw what happened to Martinelli when he got a bit of chance to watch the game and come on with enthusiasm. And let's face it, Roy Hodgson said it as well. Their attempt to bring the game to us at 3-0. He said something I've never heard a manager say before. He said we should have shut up shop at 3-0. Quickly, the horse has bolted. Get that stable door closed.
Absolutely, yeah.
Have you ever heard that before? Like, we should have shut up shop at 3-0.
It's not sounding great, is it? But look, they got their own problems. I just want to play devil's advocate for a minute, though. We've been accused in the past of being arrogant going into a game. Said, "Oh, we thought it was won, so we dropped some of our best players. We ended up dropping points. It's the manager's fault there." So there's always pressure on either side of the decision, you know. And after the blip that we've just had, that apparently means that we're all going to die. You can understand why you play your full strength squad, right? So no, I'm not going for that one.
I'd be surprised if Tezzy's comment here is true. Hey, look,
Tezzy, it came out this week. We have scored more goals from substitutes than any other team.
It's the man from tomorrow himself.
It's hombre mañana.
Patois only, please, on this channel. Man like tomorrow, innit, bro?
I like mate.
You're lagging really badly. Why is that?
Bit of a delay there.
How is my internet the only one that's good? We've done a complete 180, haven't we?
Yours was total shit before.
No, yours was.
Yeah.
I did a live lead the other day, and it was absolutely dreadful. My end. Have I got problems again?
Just a delay.
No, you're all right. No, it's a slight delay, but that's all right.
Yeah. It seems to be every time I put my Bluetooth headphones on, it makes it worse.
Well, yeah, obviously.
The sound just caught up with your lips. Actually, you're right now.
Yeah, Bluetooth is a delay of like about a second and a half. So yeah, you can't. Man can't be rocking no Bluetooth, blood.
Oh, how are we both?
Allow the Bluetooth in it.
Good. We're off the back of a
allow
big victory, which
it.
is nowhere near good enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, 5-0.
Call that a big victory. I remember the days where we
12-0.
used to score 15 and 16.
Yeah,
we used to beat
every
teams
week.
like Palace before they turned up, and we'd have a barbecue in the middle of the pitch. And my mum would buy us all pop.
I did see a lot of the fan base going, "Oh, we were crap in that game." No, we weren't.
I'd like to be that crap every week.
Who cares? What do
like
they
to
want?
Crap in sport 5.
Like, what if I said to you, like, I'd do this. I cheered the George Graham 91. Right, no one ever talks about it. We lost one game in 91. We conceded 17 goals. We were shit, but I loved it. Yeah. We had midfielders doing that for like every game. We had Rocastle going, "Can I have the ball, please?" And everyone going, "Not today, David. We're trying to win a match." We've got nothing going forward unless it's Alan Smith knocking it down to Paul Murphy.
Who's a centre forward? We had centre forwards on both sides of the pitch.
Yeah, we had lumps. We had some of the silkiest footballers. Like, we had David Rocastle. For me, the highest accolade I can give Bukayo Saka is that he reminds me of Rocastle. That's the nicest thing anyone could ever say to anyone, right? And he really does. But Rocastle in this team, this Arteta team, would have had a field day. In the George Graham era, it was like, right, you're Brazilian-esque, you're wonderful, you're great on the ball, you've got fantastic control. What I want you to do is tackle. Chase him down and tackle. And he'd be like, if I get the ball, is it all right if I play a through ball? No. No. When you get the ball, you pass it back to the fullback, who's going to launch one up to Alan Smith. Right? Even the 1989 like winning goal is that. It's like Lukic got the ball and was like, "I don't want it." Gave it to Lee Dixon. Was like, "What am I supposed to do with it?" And he pings it up. Alan Smith was a genius, knocks it down. I tell you what, I've said this before as well. I really think Reece Nelson reminds me of Michael Thomas, because the pair of them don't seem to have any urgency. They're just cool and calm under pressure. And that really goes against you if the fans are on your back, because you want to see a bit of like busy foolishness.
And they both sometimes look like a landed trout, like Michael Thomas did after he scored that goal.
Flapping.
Yeah, that was mental. I forgive him that though. I
think everyone should celebrate goals like that. That's the goal celebration. I'll never forget it.
But so as I flicked over to come on to this, you were talking about Nelson. What was your verdict on Nelson? Future or not?
No, not at all.
I say yes. I say yes as a backup. But he's got to play anymore.
He doesn't trust him, does he?
That's the problem. I mean, if you might as well have no one there. You might as well not have anyone there. If you're going to play someone, he's a perfect guy. I was a fan of Holding as a third choice, because you need them sometimes. Just keep them there. They're loyal
third
people.
Third choice for what? You wanted Holding. What third choice? What like?
So you can't have top quality everywhere.
I'm muting you. No, that's it. Oh, don't be silly.
I thought you had intelligent friends, Dan.
No, you didn't. No one thought that. Lee Gunner speaks back.
I am actually Lee Gunner speaks truth. It was really difficult to. I've got another laptop over here, and
Lee Gunner plays with self.
No, joking aside. Yeah, is he?
Stop joking about Holding them.
Who's good enough to be able to play, but not good enough to deserve, to be first pick. So that balance is difficult to find.
But the thing is, he's not. Yeah, but we're not using him, so he's just a dead. It's just a dead weight. That's my problem.
That's not necessarily his fault.
No, it's Arteta's fault. I think Arteta last season, I gave Arteta a break because he felt like he didn't have the bench he wanted. To still not have the bench you want, that's not my fault. He gave Nelson a new contract. He gave Eddie Nketiah the confidence to play. He's played Eddie Nketiah. He's played almost everyone. But there are players. What is the point in having Cedric in the squad? What is the point?
Yeah, well, he extended Nelson's contract, didn't he?
Yeah.
No, there's a place for him. You've got to stay. You've got to stay. Oh, not to play.
No. I just...
See, I don't get Cedric's situation either. It's like he's going over to Dubai with them, but why is he going? He doesn't play.
I don't know. I have no idea. Listen, a lot of people have been saying that how shit Cedric is and how shit Edu is for not selling Cedric. Can I just make this point, right? If Edu sells Cedric and gets anything, magic beans, a used lottery ticket, anything, the man's a fucking genius. Because I've been in sales most of my life and I could not sell Cedric to Mrs. Cedric, right? There's just nothing about him. He should have retired. I mean, he's just got a free season ticket, hasn't he? And $100,000 a week.
Well, he's just been paid $100,000 a week for the whole season, really. And he's played for
money, isn't it?
Just go. Here's some, like, honestly, like at this point, I actually want him to play him. I actually want him to play him because I can't bear the idea. Raw Waters must be thinking, I'm good, you know. Like, I reckon I could play football. But this guy couldn't get into the Fulham side, and now he's bench warming our team. Like, I get it that no one wants him. Sell it, just cut up the contract.
I just saw as well, Kieran Tierney's only started 7 games out of 29.
We talked about but he's been that's misleading. He was seriously injured. He missed. So he's had the injury. Then he came back, and it was surprising that he was on the bench. But he's obviously trying to bring him back slowly. Then he started on Tuesday night against Celta Vigo, pulled his hamstring, and he's out for a month. So
he's had hamstring problems before as well, hasn't he?
His injury, like he has got his injury problems. There's no question about it. But what's funny to me is that people will tell you he's one of the best left backs in the world, and then go, "Well, how comes he can't get in Real Sociedad's team?" Then there's a lot of speculation. People are saying, people are saying, I could kind of understand it. I think people are saying that we sent him to Sociedad to tap up Zubamendi and go like, "Oh, you've got to come to Arsenal. It's brilliant."
No, I believe we sent him out on loan to increase his sell value.
Yeah, and that's been brilliant, isn't it?
Mikel Arteta is from San Sebastian. That's where he's from. That Real Sociedad is the team from San Sebastian, place where I've been twice actually. So
with those brown envelopes. Yeah, all those brown envelopes.
Go and sweet talk their central.
So I put in the comment earlier, Dan, but I didn't get a response. I know you're a big fan of Roy Waters, so I think the only criticism of that game was he should have took White off, and it was a perfect game.
We'd already said it. I'd already said it. I was like, look, I know, Sean, you and I have had conversations about this, and I've taken your point really seriously. For me, Kozia Dubry is a player that must get minutes. He's brilliant. Charlie Patino at Swansea, he's having another good season. There's room for him in our squad.
I'd play him. I would have played him before now.
So I get Miles. I get Skelly might not be ready yet, but Raw Waters. Do you know what pisses me off a little bit? We're out there looking at Jorel Hato at Ajax, who it's his first season, so he's not only been made captain of Ajax in the first season he's played, probably been their best player and got a call up to the Dutch national team at 17. No question he's good. He said he wants to come to Arsenal. I get their speculation. But if he's good enough to come to Arsenal, how's Will Waters, who's 19 years old, not getting a shot? Some of the players that we're linked with are younger than the players who are sitting on the bench sometimes and barely ever make the bench either. Like, Arteta, and I was horrified to have this clarified, but I knew it anyway. He has never promoted an academy player. Klopp plays academy players. Arteta doesn't. Guardiola. Look at the money they made off Palmer, and look how good Palmer is. And they shipped him out.
He played token gesture a few games, and it
was enough. It was enough to get 40 million for him. Because he scored that worldie against us in the Community Shield, and Chelsea went, he's a winger. Oh, like, come here, fucking it. You know, like, you didn't tell us you had more wingers. We get more wingers.
Yeah,
you know, like, he's better than Mudryk. I'm better than Mudryk. But like, the point is, you don't play them, you can't sell them either. There is a reason why we're shit at selling players. There is a reason why, you know, our record set. Anyone want to have a guess who our record transfer out is?
Ever?
Iwobi.
No, just under.
Anelka?
No, no, that was 20 million. Huh?
Balogun?
No. Just under again. It's like 5 million short. It's 40 million went to Liverpool.
Oh, Chamberlain.
Yeah.
That's the most money we've ever made selling a player.
Mm.
It's not good enough. It isn't good enough.
We've never been good at selling, have we?
Well, Chamberlain transfer was a pretty good bit of business.
Don't you remember when we managed to get a bag of Henry Mkhitaryan beans for Alexis Sanchez? Don't you remember that? Can't you remember when? Like,
well, that's because I tell you what, no, let's just get real for a second. That is when you sign into a situation of shit. And Wenger's trying really hard, I think, not to sign that kind of player. Sanchez was brilliant, but he did not. He had previous. He was like, yeah, I'm always looking for, you know, the upgrade. And so he ended up ditching us like a hot snot. It turned up turning south for him. But that no one was that surprised when it happened because he was just mercenary from the word go.
I must interject here because this perfectly illustrates the point that Scott just made about how shit we are at selling. City wanted him. They offered us really good money for him. We turned it down. And then in the January transfer window, we swapped him for Henrik Mkhitaryan.
Yeah, that sucks.
Who I can't remember. I saw Henrik Mkhitaryan in a game recently. Where's he playing at the moment? I watched him play and was like, is it Roma?
He's the one on the right of the middle pole.
The thing is, like, we could get 30 million for Eddie, and we've already had West Ham and Palace interested in him.
Make it make sense. How have we not sold Eddie Nketiah?
Yeah.
We could have signed, I know I'm a broken record, Marcus Leonardo. Do you know what? I watched Marcus Leonardo play for Benfica last week. You'll only guess what I'm going to tell you next. He came on and scored. He came on and scored. Bang. Right where a striker should be. The ball comes across, he taps it in because he's running into the space. I've watched a few players that we've been linked with. Mayoral, looks all right. He scored. I know, Sean, I know you know more about him than I do because you're in Spain, but I've been watching.
He's all right. He's you know, again, you always help me with this one, Dan. You've got to be better than the players you're replacing.
Yeah, he's not that.
That's the thing, isn't it? You know, if we could find an off the shoulder, which I personally believe we need. We're looking at the squad that we've got. Need an off the shoulder, pushing the envelope striker. You know, really good movement, but always up front, not dropping deep. Striker.
Which I hate to say it, but I think Marcos Leonardo for me is going to be that. You know, I think he is. He's going to be worth.
Expensive at like about £5.
Yeah, he was £5 in a bag of chips, and we couldn't afford the chips. So you know, Edu couldn't barbecue us.
Maybe there was a work permit issue. You never know.
No, it wasn't. What was that, Scott?
What did you think of Martinelli's 2 goals? They were so Thierry Henry.
It wasn't 2 goals. Yeah. It was a glitch in the matrix. It was 1 goal. I was watching it going, am I watching a replay of the same goal? What's going on? Because I showed Sean, I actually had money on 5-0, right?
Yeah, he showed me.
So for the most of it, I had money on 5-0. It was only like a couple of quid or whatever. But
brown envelopes, mate. It was brown envelopes. They paid Martinelli to score 2 goals, or he wouldn't have bothered otherwise.
I thought that's what we were doing. Are we not playing these players to score goals?
You know, and I get it that Jorginho's not got the movement and the legs anymore, but gosh, he can ping a ball still.
Oh, mate, he's the only player who plays through balls. We've got the Mr. Arsenal podcast. Great to have you here. Evening.
See, this is my thing with what I think's going wrong with Odegaard at the minute. It's like, I do believe he is taking a few too many touches and he's lost that instinct of him shooting inside the box. But the reason why he was so good last season is because of Thomas Partey's through balls.
Yeah, we do. We listen. Do you know, no one ever talks about it. I'm sick of hearing people say, oh, we replaced Granit Xhaka with Kai Havertz. No, we replaced Granit Xhaka with Declan Rice, but we didn't know Thomas. We probably should have known Thomas Partey wasn't going to play a full season, but for him to not play at all.
We've not even seen that partnership yet.
At all.
And it's what we want, isn't it?
Trossard goal was beautiful. What a bargain signing he's been.
Oh,
yeah, and it's this time last year, wasn't it? And everyone thought we were signing Mudryk. Oh, the one that got away.
Well, with that goal, he literally put their defender on his arse, didn't he?
Beautiful. I love it when they sit players down. One thing I'll say is I watched, and I'm trying to look at the player it was. I was watching the Getafe game against, we've lost Sean briefly. I'm sure he'll be back. I was watching Getafe play Osasuna to see Mayoral, and he did play well. He did score as well. There's a goal in that game which was sensational. It was like the guy's at the corner flag and he whips in a cross, but it goes in. Just absolutely brilliant. Let's sign him.
Did you see Ivan Toenails cheating?
I didn't start watching that match. I just knew he was going to score, though. Didn't you just know he was going to score?
You know, basically, he moved the ball half a foot one way, got the white powder off the floor, wiped it over the ball and put it the other side and moved it across. And I'm thinking, you've just been banned for 829 days.
Yeah,
and
man.
Your first thing to do is a little bit of shithousery.
I love it, though. I mean, but is he... Look, I hate to say it because...
I know you don't rate it.
I don't really, but in that one statistic that I was listening to on the radio, because I listened to the first half of the match on the radio, was that he has the most goals from set pieces of any player in Europe, and he hasn't played for the last 8 months. So how many of his goals are coming from that? And it was he took a clever free kick. I just want to interrupt here to say, Mr. Arsenal Podcaster said, came across your channel the other day in terms of your vid about the clickbaiters gang and had to subscribe. You had a great channel and really like what you do. Thank you. Thank you so much. Means a lot. But he's also gone on to say, to establish your point, the irony behind that goal. It is just hilarious, isn't it? You gotta love when he's a bad boy. No question about it.
And that's another reason why we won't sign him.
Well, I think the money is the reason we're not going to sign him. And Sean and I were talking earlier. Well, Sean had made the point, developed the point that we buy players who can play in many positions. So, you know, we would never buy, like, we're a jazz band. You know, what instrument do you play? Well, I'm the best pianist in the world. Is that it?
Sean, do you not rate Tony either?
Who?
Do you not rate Ivan Toney either?
I don't, mate. I mean, not for us. I think he's a good player for another kind of team. I don't see him fitting in with Arsenal at all. Actually, not personality, not playing style.
You know, I am concerned, like you say, that bad boy image. I don't think he would fit with that.
I mean, Arteta's a moralistic guy, and that whole betting thing would probably be a deal breaker just from the beginning. But on top of that, where's the history? He's in his late 20s. What's he 28. Done? You know,
in April he's 28. He's had one really good season in which he scored 13 goals from open play. If you don't count the one that shouldn't have stood against us, he gets a great. I mean, listen, obviously he's a good footballer, but
he's a strong.
I would rather have Isak. There are so many players. If we're going to spend 100 million, that you could get
100 million, Scott.
I know.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. No, you know, I've always been quite convinced that he was the man for the job, but the more I hear about him and the more I see what he's done, I do start to think he's probably not the right fit.
But you have to also think, for 100 million, you're going to give him a 4-year contract, right? 5 is the most you can give him. You give him a 5-year contract. That takes him to the age of 32, 33. Then you think, what are you going to get back for him when you sell him? Nothing. So it is money goes out. And then if you signed him for 100 million now, when he's potentially a free agent in just over a year's time anyway, I think he's a vastly inflated player. But I mean, I would say is he 25 million better than Rasmus Højlund? Maybe. I think the market's just crazy. It's just crazy. I mean, when the people were saying we should bring in Benzema, and you go,
it's like
2.8 million a week.
You know, like I watched the Brentford game the other day because I wanted to watch Tony's comeback, and I have to say he was brilliant in that game. He you know, his work rate was amazing. His strength is phenomenal. But is it that situation that it's because he's at a Brentford and he is the superstar?
It was good. I only, like I said, I only watched the second half, and I mean, having listened to it on the radio, it was one of those ones where you go, you know, he's going to score that free kick. The way they were setting it up, and then I couldn't wait to see the free kick because the way they described it on the radio was brilliant, amazing, and I was like, yeah, it was all right.
He basically whacked it as hard as he could.
Yeah, and I from a place he shouldn't have, and I think that it didn't set. It wasn't like one of those games where you watch it and you think. I remember, like, you know, sometimes you watch a game of football and you think there's a player on the pitch who's head and shoulders above the rest. Jurgen Klinsmann used to drive me mad. He was always that player. Bergkamp was always that. We've had plenty of those players. Tony isn't that player for me. I would love to see a player like Isak. There are players I would like to see apart from Marcus Leonardo. But if I'm brutally honest, I don't really think that I would have us sign anything but a defender right now. Because the idea of trying to get to May with Jacob Kivior as the only backup defender.
He's not ready.
Even if he was ready, Scott, even if he's
totally agree. He's only one person. He's a person. You know, and if you're gonna rotate, you're gonna cover injuries. We will get injuries. We will get injuries at centre back at some point. We did last season. It will happen.
I mean,
Kivior might get a person, but then who's going to go left back for Zinchenko, who can play 60 minutes max? You know,
Tomiyasu, who played the other 30 minutes max that he's got
on crutches. You know,
Raul Walters can't play because
he's too young, isn't he?
Susan's too young. Raul Walters too young. Ibrahim are too young. They're all too young. Everyone's too young. Arteta's too bloody young. Do you know what I mean? Everything's too young right now. I'm sick of it. But the idea that we would go to this transfer window and go, do you know what we desperately need? Do you know what the team that just won its last game 5-0 is desperately in need of? You know, like what we really, like the team that broke its own its goal scoring record last season, desperately short of. You know, the team with the most options up front in any position we've got. Because let's be honest, Kai Havertz could play up front. Gabby Jesus could play up front. Martinelli Saka play up front. We've got Emil Smith-Rowe at a push. Trossard. We've got Gabby and we've got Saliba as our centre backs. And the only backup to them, recognised backup, is Jacob Kivior, who I don't think anyone really rates at this point. You know? And I feel for him.
Kivior's grand. He's a centre back. And he gets comparing him a left back. So, why is he not fucking really good left back? Because he's a centre back. That's why.
He's not even. I'm not even 100% sure he's a centre back.
I think he is. I think he's completely a centre back. You know, it's just we haven't had many centre back injuries right now. I think we got covered on the left-sided
centre back. Because tell me, he's better than, I will say for Jacob Kivior, he is better than Holding, who I really like. I thought he was a great guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not bringing any defenders in, which has to tell us. I mean, I know there's Nuno Tavares might be coming back so we can sell him to Marseille.
Oh gosh,
he's poop. Mind you, he's
been playing. He played for your beggars can't be choosers, right? If he's coming back, fucking put him in the fucking squad. We need.
No, he's not coming back. He's not coming back. He's coming back to get sold.
He can't even get in the Forest team either.
Well, he played on Sunday, or was it Saturday? Sorry. Yeah, he did. He played on Saturday.
Problem with Tavares was his attitude. It wasn't his football.
No, I mean, having watched him recently, it's both. He's shit at both. Do you know what I mean? Because he's end product, a bit like Anthony. You know, where you go, give him the ball and then tackle the player who takes it off him. that's the whole Tavares situation.
Tavares in it, and he's bumping into our own players, isn't he?
He is terrible. I mean,
I just don't think he's got much positional awareness right now.
We have every team signs players that they think are going to be great, and sometimes you're surprised how good they are, and sometimes Nuno Tavares, right?
Or Sambi
Lokonga, you know, or I mean, there are a few.
There's a lot.
Pablo Murray. I will say that I want to do a video about Arteta signings, because when I went through it, I know that people say Austin Trusty was a failure. We sold Austin Trusty for more than we paid for him. So any player that you buy for some money and sell for more money, I'll take that all day, right? Because that just doesn't happen at Arsenal. When you go through that team that played Palace, 9 of them are Arteta signings. And come on, man, some of them are brilliant. The only 2 that aren't are Saka and Martinelli. Sorry, Saka and Saliba. So of the nine starting players, Martinelli isn't either. But you
right. And Saliba was someone who was
only ever had Arteta
managed by Arteta, in that he said he's not ready. He's got to go. He's got to spend more time. Now he's ready. Bring him back, and he was brilliant. So
Arteta, speaking about it, said that he was going to send him on loan again, but then they just had this gut feeling, and it kind of made me angry a little bit with Arteta. I do get angry with Arteta sometimes. We go, "You idiot! That's not a feeling. You're supposed to be watching him and go, oh, he's good, you know." Yeah. I mean, everyone in France was saying he's the best young player in France, and we were going, well, I just don't know about him. I think Arteta is young and inexperienced, and where you see it is he lacks the confidence sometimes to make the big decisions. I hope that changes, because
I wonder, you know, when you have a look at the other players, what's Arteta got that the Guardiola and Klopp and whoever else, you know, doesn't have? He's got recent Premiership playing experience. I wonder how that tints his judgment. You know, he would have been there in the centre of the park, absolute all-round midfielder. You know, he wasn't defensive, he wasn't attacking. He could play long shots, he could cover. He was probably an 8. He was probably a central 8. You know,
I like what you're saying. I think there's a lot to it, and I also just want to say. Say again.
I did this comment here about Trusty. A lot of the theory has been he was brought in to bring it to boost up the American profile.
Yeah. I think there was a commercial slant to it.
Yeah, of course. He's from Colorado Rapids. He's from, like, it's not a coincidence. Do you know what I mean? Like but he was also Birmingham's Player of the Season last year, and I don't think he was ever going to play for Arsenal. But in the pre-season, I really wanted to see him. I don't think it would have killed us to keep Austin Trusty? Like, he's not shit, and he's a defender. Why do we hate defenders so much? Like, are we going to end up with 2 defenders? I mean, like, is that what's happening?
We've had a left back problem for years, haven't we?
We have, and Kieran Tierney seemed like the answer to it. And for a club that's produced so many of the world's best left backs, we suck at left back.
Yeah, one after the other. Well, what Wenger did to Winterburn, you know, you know. Remember, we had left backs that used to score screamers against Chelsea. That was
Silvino.
That's how you knew you were a left back.
Yeah, Nigel Winterburn scoring at Stamford Bridge. Silvino, we've got Silvino. Passport fraud. Off he goes.
It was you that told me about that. The fraud.
Yeah, people forget this. Eddie, when we signed him, got to the airport, and they were like, "No, you can't draw your own passport and come in." He goes, "Oh, I thought it was kosher." Shut up.
Just say your name's John on here.
You're not a woman. So we had Silvino had to be shipped off before anyone realised that he wasn't eligible to play in this country. And Cashley Cole. Listen, I think, you know, I might be dividing the fan base with my toxic positivity.
And Broncos.
Giovanni. Mind you, he flattered to deceive, really.
Injury. It was the injury. It was the injury, unfortunately.
He wasn't one of my favourites.
My point is that Arsene Wenger had this conveyor belt of left backs. We were spoiled. We were completely spoiled. We just always had a world-class left back.
And Oleg Luzhny on the right, so all balanced in the end.
Or Lauren. We had a hitman on the right, and we had a Brazilian on the left. Yeah,
Lauren, when he scored the penalty against Spurs, me and Chris always used to joke about it. We were right behind the goal, and I'd gone with Naomi. Me, Chris, and Naomi went to see the game, and we were right behind the goal where Lauren scored the penalty. And we used to joke about it. Goes, we'll be on Match of the Day, and I fucking swapped seats with Naomi, so she was on the telly and I wasn't. But Lauren scoring the penalty against Spurs, brilliant. Lauren, I mean, he was carved out of the living rock. He was, wasn't he?
Oh, he was so solid. He was so solid. His name should have been Crew. He was that solid.
Yeah,
very good. That for you feels like a cutting edge comment, right? But
yeah, no, that is it. Yeah, I totally.
There are people watching this who weren't born when the So Solid Crew were popular.
Fair enough.
What's garage, Dad?
yeah,
Garage.
That little phase, wasn't it? Garage music.
Tiny little face. Yes, it was. That's me trying to do garage. I can't believe where we've got to. But no, we had a conveyor belt of left backs. We have a complete. We've taken our eye off the ball with defenders, and the only thing I can think is because look, let's be honest. 6 days left of the transfer window. Are we bringing in anyone?
My guess, we're going to sign a stopgap loan signing that Arteta's not going to play. He's going to be on the bench every game for the rest of the season.
I'm trying to think who it would be.
Well, that's probably realistic.
Southampton would be my first option.
Oh, Kyle Walker-Peters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's good though. I do think he's good.
Yeah, but Arteta. Why I keep calling him Wenger? He probably won't play him.
I heard about links to Braithwaite at Everton. But...
Yeah, but see, I think that's all horseshit. I think and it's so funny because I started the transfer window off. I promised myself because the channel will be 1 year old on the last day of the transfer window. So I had this thing. I'm going to do a live every day. I'm going to talk about the transfers, and I got to about episode 4, and I was like, "What am I talking about? We're not signing these players. We're not signing Ivan Toney. We're not signing Benzema, Osimhen, Mbappe." Like every player that I've covered in this transfer window, I'm going, yeah, we're not signing.
Yeah.
We're not signing Bayer.
We're signing Zubimendi in the summer.
Yeah.
And I think we're gonna try and find some token gesture in January, like last minute. I expect they're probably working on it at the moment.
I don't want to talk about Timber,
yeah, we will get Timber back. We'll get 1 month of tentative. We'll get maybe 1 full month, maybe May. He'll be fully fit. He's not someone you can make
training.
in the second half.
I saw that. Partey is back training, so that's a right back.
I've heard, yeah.
I think
I don't like him at right back, though. I do not like him at right back at all.
No one does.
Yeah.
And this is drive everyone mad, wouldn't it? What's Arteta doing playing him at right back? I don't know. Maybe he's seeing how well he played at right back for Atletico, and no one's quoting Simeone for it. You know,
we should sack Arteta and get Simeone in. Remember?
Yeah, he's always wanted to manage
because he's new, because he's different.
Yeah, he's something.
I think the only thing that we'll be signing in January is probably a contract extension for Tommy.
That's happening. Yeah, that's definitely happening. And who's the other one? Who's the other one? Oh, Ben White as well. That's happened.
Ben White.
Yeah. Just talking about Ben White.
I'll keep him in creosote for a while.
Yeah. Just talking about Ben White. I have been concerned this season that he seems to have stopped this overlapping, but in the Palace game it was back. Did you not know that he'd stopped
how
doing
much of that is down to the fact that Ben White isn't fully fit? He's just not.
No, it's tactical.
Yeah.
Tactical. We're not getting the ball into the right positions as quickly as we did last season. There's no room for manoeuvre. He can't overlap. He can't play the through balls because they're doubling up real quick, and we haven't got enough going on in the middle to stop them from doubling up.
And is that because of the gap that Thomas Partey fills?
I don't know. I think that it's a really deep reaching thing. We're betting in 2 new midfielders, and they're completely different from the ones they're replacing. Partey brings something to the table. I think we all prefer Declan Rice, but Declan Rice is now. I've seen him develop. He's now getting better at receiving the ball half open, and ready to progress and that sort of thing. He's getting there, but all the same time, we've got Havertz has got to do the same thing. He's got to develop to his position. Everyone thinks they should do it within like 3 or 4 months. No, it takes a good 12 months, 18 months to really get to a new system. You know,
I have seen improvements with Havertz, and I can see what he's trying to do. And you can see how he lays that ball off. You can see what he's trying to do. And I thought he had a poor game against Palace. But apart from that, I have noticed some really good improvements with Havertz. I'm going to back him.
Let me just run this by you about Havertz. A poor game from Havertz versus a poor game from Xhaka. Compare. A poor game from Havertz, like, he didn't do much. Poor game from Xhaka,
Sorry, I'm going to have to stop you there because I have this breaking piece of brand new information.
We've signed Osman.
Excellent. Oh, hello. Oh, no, is that the same one? No, the Melts.
No, it's not. This is a brand new comment.
Oh, it isn't. It is
it
not.
Is.
FC Meat. FC
Yeah, you have to put your own punctuation in there. He's a little
fan
slow.
Envelopes FC. Meat
is that a league on a fan account?
Another Man FC Dubai FC.
Oh yeah, you've missed out, Scott. Since I posted that video on Sunday, Lee Gunner Speaks Facts has been trolling every message and comment with the same.
Oh, brilliant!
I know. I mean, I love him. I actually love him
because of you and me.
And me and you and la la la. But you think that's it? You think that's the only wisdom? They're the only truth bombs he's dropping? Nope. Here's another one. See if you can guess. 1 trophy in 17.
Oh no!
Yeah, but it was a nice.
I've ordered that.
But it was a shiny trophy.
He's not counting the Community Shield. This prick.
Yeah, we won that.
Bare trophies, bruv.
Why didn't you spell it F-E-E?
Yeah, but you think it's all over here. There's more. We knocked down the stadium to be like Real Madrid. I need to talk about this because I need to get this off my chest. I need to get this off my chest. I was at Highbury. I had to have 4 tickets. Because you want to go with mates. Getting tickets for Highbury was one of the hardest things, right? It was impossible.
Yeah, we had 4 memberships, remember?
Mate, oh God. And I used to be sat there like this with my finger on the dial to just get a ticket. And I'd get 4 at a time because there'd always be people who want to go. There were 30 when we played in the Champions League at Highbury. The front 3 rows had to be advertising. That meant there were only 33,000 people in the stadium. We left Highbury because you couldn't fit enough people who wanted to see Arsenal play. Right? Not that Lee Gunner Speaks Facts has ever been to a match, but when you go to a match, there's these things like seats, and you sit in them, and you hopefully cheer on your team, or you get a dry slap off someone like me sitting next to you who's just had enough of your shit, you childlike fucking entity. But leaving that to one side, the point that everybody's making is that we left Highbury to compete with Real Madrid. We did leave Highbury. In the days where we left Highbury or planned to leave Highbury, match day revenue was the number 1 amount of money you could make. We couldn't compete with teams that had bigger stadiums. We fucked up. We didn't know Abramovich money was coming in. We didn't know TV money was coming in, right? So ultimately, we fucked up. But aren't we glad we left Highbury for the Emirates? Because people like Lee Gunner, I know he doesn't go, obviously, to the matches, but the whole generation of people that could go to the Emirates would not have been able to go to Highbury. You couldn't get into Highbury for love nor money when we were winning.
And we tried to get extension. We tried to get permission to extend, and they wouldn't give it.
Deco facade, they wouldn't let us upgrade it. Right. So we've got. Don't worry, he hasn't stopped. Havertz is absolutely useless.
No, this is Kyle Walsh-Gunner. This is Kyle Walsh-Gunner.
Yeah, listen, I don't think he's absolutely useless, but I don't think he's great either. We can agree on that. Oh, here we go. Community Shield is not a trophy, and you're not Lee Gunner. Next, melts in caps. Things are getting serious. It's true, actually. He knows how to use caps.
No, it's serious. When it's in caps, you know they're not joking anymore.
That's it. That's the only way I know they're not joking anymore, because it isn't when they're funny or not. Just admit the whole, oh no, because he's PR. Oh, that's clever. Process is finished. Arteta needs to jog on. Why do you keep using phrases like jog on when you're clearly not from London anyway? Right? Stop doing that. It's embarrassing. You're embarrassing yourself. Jog on, you melt. And then Lee Gunner owns you. He does. He does.
Oh, no, man. Oh, no, Chelsea would have won. You just had him there, didn't you? No, I mean, oh, no.
No, but I think he's right. I think Lee Gunner is saying that Lee Gunner Speaks Facts owns you. I'm starting to think this might be the real Lee Gunner.
But Chelsea would have won.
No, Lee Gunner Speaks Facts is Lee Gunner. Have some standards and accountability.
Yeah, man. Yep. You know what I mean? Have some standards.
I'm an Arsenal fan for the last 39 years. I'm going to be honest. It hurts to see us fail season in, season out. Good show, lads. Thank you, Carl Walsh. I don't know if we are failing. I don't know if we have failed seasons in and seasons out.
You see, and I've been on watched a few shows and things, and I know Kyle Walsh. I've seen him on shows, and he's a very passionate fan, and I get it. And I think my answer to all this is, we're not all the same, and we just need to follow our team how we want to. You know what I mean?
Amen. Amen.
And I think there should be less concern about these guys here just support everything Arteta does. It's like, how about you just let these people support the team however you want, however they want.
And why don't we all just unify and take the piss out of Tottenham fans like we've been doing for most of the 39 years you were a fan? Like, you're like me. Yeah. I've been a fan 42 years. You've been a fan 39 years. I loved Arsene Wenger much more than I love Arteta. I was gutted that it went so badly wrong at the end of the Arsene Wenger. You know, we didn't have the money. We sold all our players. We had Man City and Barcelona raiding us for players. We lost Van Persie to Man United. It was sickening. Fabregas went, Vieira went, Thierry Henry went. The best players we've ever had left, and nothing to show for it. A generation of players like Jack Wilshere just wasted. Fabregas, Wilshere, Ramsey, Santi Cazorla playing in a team where nothing was worth playing for. You know, where the best we could hope for FA Cups. It's been gutting. It's been sickening. But it's been Arsenal. It's what we are. We're Arsenal. We're still going to be Arsenal fans. For us to be attacking each other, for people to be telling me that because I'm staying positive and I can see improvement from where we were when we were worse than we are now, when we had players who just didn't give a shit and we had players that just weren't interesting to watch, and people going on about Unai Emery and he was better than Arteta. Mate, that game against Frankfurt, Unai Emery's last game, was abject. We had no direction. We had players who didn't want to play for us. Who's that? We had nothing, and now we're better than we were. And if that isn't green shoots of recovery, I don't know what is. But is it good enough? For some people, it won't be good enough ever.
And you see, like we're here, and I know for yourself, Dan, you're 100% behind Arteta. I don't know if you are, Sean. You probably are.
It's trajectory, man. It's about trajectory. Yeah. We've gone from UEFA League and sixth and dropping to Champions League and winning the group, finishing second. You know, the trajectory is unmistakable.
Yeah,
unmistakable, right? You know, we have made an incredible jump where we were sliding before. That's all I'm going to go on, you know. And we're playing beautiful football now. We've had a bit of a blip recently, but fuck me, overall, how can you not be happy?
Yeah, and for myself personally, and I've always said this to Dan before, I'm 70% convinced with Arteta. But you know, I'm allowed to have doubts, and my doubts are what I've said to you before. It's the lack of Plan B. It's the lack of rotation.
Yeah, if we could find another Giroud, I'd be over the moon. But I just don't think that happens to be Tony.
And I really want to jump in on this as well, Scott, because I think you've summarised it brilliantly. There is a world of difference between being happy with the positive trajectory that Sean's talking about and being 100% behind Arteta. When we brought Arteta in, I was gutted. It's not who I wanted. Your first management job should not be Arsenal. No massive company appoints an inexperienced CEO, right?
We didn't want him.
Before the Chelsea game, I was listening to Arsblogger. I was going for a run. I was listening to Arsblogger, and I was convinced this was just the beginning of the end because he'd fallen out with all the big name players. He couldn't get on with anyone. All the German players hated him. All of the big name players were like, "You've never even played for Spain. You've put the cones out for Pep Guardiola, and you think you're a manager." And I was convinced he was going to be shit. Everyone thought we were going to get spanked by Chelsea. We'd lost 3 games leading up to the Chelsea game, and that Chelsea game was like, boom. He suddenly brings in Emil Smith-Rowe. He gets rid of Willian. I think Willian was actually injured, but he wouldn't play Martinelli. Then he started playing, and he started to turn it around. And from that moment to where we are now, I give him credit for the progress. Last season, we got our Arsenal back. We scored enough goals. The team was too young to take us over the line. It was a sickener, right? But we lost to arguably the best Premier League side there's ever been. And if they win it again this season, there's no doubts about that. So do I hate the man for not beating Pep Guardiola? No, I don't hate him for that. I'm gutted he didn't. But I'm not saying everything he does I agree with. I disagree with the fact we haven't brought a defender in. I disagree with the fact that he plays Saka in every single game. I disagree with the fact he's never promoted an academy player. I get really frustrated at his substitutions. There are things he's not doing well. But I'm a balanced person. I like to think I'm balanced. And I go, he's doing 8 things right and 2 things wrong. And if I chuck him out and bring in who are we talking about? Who's coming in next?
There's this conversation of Angelotti. Well, we're never getting him.
It's like that. Remember that 70s game where you had put the different coloured pegs in, and someone tell you got one in the right place but the wrong colour, and you got this.
Oh, mastermind,
exactly. It'd be like that. You're getting someone else in it, and he might get some of the things right that Arteta gets wrong, but he might get some of the things wrong that Arteta currently gets right, and that's the issue.
So and I have no issue with people that want Arteta.
Come along, Carl.
Their business.
Oh, I'll put a link. If you I can send you a link. You're more than welcome to jump on. Like it's how do I send him a link? Someone be cleverer than me.
You need an email address or a WhatsApp.
Do you want to pop? Was he going to pop an email address? Actually, here's my email. You can
private message in this.
Yeah, I could. What should I put the link in here?
You can put the private chat. You can put the link in only. Otherwise, all of our millions.
Can I do a private chat on here? I don't even know how to do this.
Yeah, on the left hand side.
Huh? What time for Sean to crash? Look at that! What fucking technical support in this place is shit, isn't it?
Yeah. So what I mean, it's like, I'm not 100% behind him, but I want him to succeed. I want my team to succeed, and I will call out if I see mistakes of him, but I'm not going to slag him off and call him an effing Spaniard or things like this. I don't believe in all that. I just,
we're supposed to be. Hang on, I'm doing 2 things at once here. Right, I tell you what you do. Email me to dangunachannel@gmail.com. I'll type it in the comments. Also, Lee Gunner Speaks Facts. You can use this to tell me how much you love me, really. Fucking melt. dangunachannel@gmail.com. I reckon Sean's missus has dragged him off now. Send me your link there, and I will whiz you over the.
And it's the same with Lee Gunner, right? I don't agree with a lot he says, but at times he also speaks a lot of sense. He's got good ball.
Of course, you can't disagree with everything he says. Some of what he says is spot on. Where I have a problem with Lee Gunner is that he said that Ramsdale was shit, right? He said that he said that Odegaard was a Real Madrid reject and he's shit. He said we'll never have a title challenge with Arteta. He's been wrong, but when you pull him up on it, he goes, "Well, I was right at the time." And you go, "I can't deal with that. If I'm wrong about something, I'll fess up to it. I thought we were going to win the league last season, we didn't."
So I'm a very big believer that people have a right to say what they want, as long as it, Oh yeah. Oh, that's your email. Yeah,
I'm putting it up there so that everyone can. dangunachannel@gmail.com. Whack us over an email and I will send you the link.
Yeah.
Lee Gunner, Gunner Exterminator, Lee Gunner Speaks Facts. Well done.
I would say Lee Gunner does at times speak facts. Also, Lee Gunner says how much he supports people's mental health, and then he sits on there slagging people off, which is diminishing people's mental health. So,
I know that Lee Gunner gets a ton of abuse. He triggers me. I don't watch him. It's as simple as that. I don't like listening to him. He annoys me. It's just one of those things. Any more than I expect him to like me. So we just don't sit at the same table, right? But where I do have a problem is where the people who pretend to be Lee Gunner, because I just think that's odious. If you're going to be a mini-me, then be yourself, have your own opinion. We're getting a flock of these. We knocked the stadium down to be like Real Madrid. Does anyone else think that Gunner Exterminator is just Lee Gunner's real name or something? We knocked the stadium down to be like Real Madrid. At the point, it wasn't Real Madrid we were trying to be like. It was Bayern, Barcelona, teams like that were making their money.
Well, I'll tell you the problem. We ain't Real Madrid.
No, nor are we ever really likely to be. And I wish we were, but I'm glad we're not as well. So listen, you prick on the right, these players are on thousands a week and they're not supposed to take abuse. Yeah, they are from other fans, right? So Gunner Exterminator, it's been really. Probably me. Let's be honest. I don't know if he knows his left from his right though, so it could be you. You're on the right, yeah. So I mean, I don't know.
That's the point. We don't have to agree, but you don't need to treat people like they're crap, man.
No,
you know, we all don't have the same opinions.
Have you ever heard that expression that hurt people hurt people?
No, I haven't. Sorry.
But that's what happens. If someone treats you like shit, it's because they're feeling pain. You know, one of the first things we learn as toddlers to get attention is we want other people to feel like us. If a toddler's having a tantrum, it's because they want you to feel as angry about a situation as they do. If a 3-year-old, you take a 3-year-old to the supermarket and he's just going, it's because they want you to feel the same pain they do. When someone like Lee Gunner speaks facts, or his alter ego, which is basically whatever it just was, it's just because ultimately they're in pain. And I get it. I'm sorry for you, but you're just taking it out on the wrong people. You can take it out on Chelsea fans all day, every day, and no one's going to care. You know, we all hate Chelsea fans.
You know, I just think we have got a very toxic fan base, haven't we? And it's all you know, it's all on each other, and I get it. I don't agree with a lot of people that seriously twerk for the club. I'm not into all that sort of thing, but I'll let them do what they want. I
always think about it, Scott. I always think about it if I was at a match and I was sat next to someone like Lee Gunner. You know, like when you buy a season ticket, you get your season ticket the first time you go to the ground, and the people you're sitting around, you suddenly go, fuck, if they're season ticket holders. You know, I used to briefly in the clock end, and there was a guy who always takes his shirt off with a Gunner tattoo, and I was like, oh, he does talk some shit through a match, and you can't do anything about it, right? I always think if I was sat next to a Lee Gunner, I'd be like, oh, leave me alone. Oh, he's talking about you here. You've just received your first...
If you'd have listened before, I said I was 70% convinced of Arteta. I also said he's bad at plan B, he's bad at man management, he's bad at recruiting academy players.
Wait, Scott, you seem to be trying to rationalise with Lee Gunner Speaks Facts. Are you doing that?
Yeah, no, I don't know why you call me a plonker when I've actually been critical of Arteta as well. I don't get it.
Oh, here we go. Well, because Red Eye Gooner can always be relied on to speak facts.
Yeah.
It should be Red Eye Gooner Speaks Facts.
I just don't get that. It's probably that's triggered me. It's like, why am I being an Arteta sexual, like they call us, when I've actually called his criticisms out?
You can't rationalise someone out of an opinion they didn't rationally adopt. You can't expect someone... I mean, who is it? Does this happen in other clubs as well? Do you get Newcastle fans going in on other... we have Kyle Walsh. I'm delighted to introduce to the stage Kyle Walsh. Great to see you. Lovely to meet you. Welcome aboard.
Hi, Kyle.
Thanks, lads. Appreciate it.
Kyle.
Big up to you. I love the show. Love the content. Love the conversation.
Hey,
big
Kyle,
up to you all.
Brilliant.
Are you an Irishman?
Sorry?
Are you an Irishman?
An Irishman.
I am, yeah.
Where are you from?
South of Ireland.
Where?
For my singing. Wexford, yeah.
What the fuck? I lived outside Gorey for 13 years. So.
All right. So you know Enniscorthy then?
I do, yeah.
That's where I live.
Very well,
Enniscorthy.
Yeah. My God. Okay, don't fuck with him, everyone.
It's a small world.
Right.
I can't believe I'm on with someone from Enniscorthy. That's mental.
Yeah. But I must say this. I know that Kyle is an Arteta out guy, but as fans, we should find a happy medium and discuss it respectfully and not arguing.
We can all agree that Tottenham is shit. We can all agree that Chelsea are just shit. We can all agree
and we
there's
all
plenty
want
of people to hate.
For our team.
And also, look at this. Tezzie's in Cork. So we've got the... Love it.
All right, bye.
So, and I don't know where are you, Red Eye Gooner? We love you. Lee Gunner Speaks Waz. You're literally rocking another man's name and face, you fruity MF. I know. This is the thing that I don't get. Someone explain it to me. When did that become a thing? Because I haven't picked someone yet. I don't know who to be. Like, can I be you, Sean?
Pretend. Right.
Yeah. Can I be Sean speaks facts?
Okay.
It's just not right.
I get Kyle's stance and everything, but I've always found you very respectful and very enjoyable to watch, Kyle. And I respect that you don't want Arteta in the club. And I think that's how it should be, though. We don't have to agree, but we do all want the team to win, don't we?
So, because I want to hear from you, Carl, because obviously this is the first time we've met. I really want to hear, because it sounds like from what Scott's saying that we're probably not going to agree on everything, which is absolutely fine.
Matter.
Yeah.
No, of course it doesn't matter. I think we're all old enough and intelligent enough to compose ourselves and have an opinion.
Exactly.
I will say this from the get-go before you start sharing your opinion. I'm prepared to accept there's a chance I might change my mind after you've shared it. Like I'm not saying that I won't. No, but I probably won't, right? I probably won't. But if your argument is well formed enough, I will throw my hands up and go, yeah, fair. You know, like so.
Yeah. No, first of all, I'd just like to say thanks for the opportunity to come on your show. It's brilliant. And I also like to say a big up to you as well, Scott. Thanks very much for what you said. As a fan, I've always been very honest. Speak from the heart and my head. I don't read off any scripts. I have my own channel. I've about 230 subscribers on it. So I'm not anywhere big when it comes to YouTube, but it's just my opinion, and people likes to hear what I have to say, and I listens to yourselves, lads, and big up to yourself. You're all up for Arteta and all this, and that's your opinion. You're right to have the opinion. I don't have any hatred towards Arteta. I'm not saying the man is this or the man is that. As an Arsenal fan, I just feel that my club is now where I want it to be, and I don't think this man has the experience to take us to the next level. And as yourself,
listen, straight off the bat, no one's going to disagree with that.
I can't disagree with that either.
That's pure fact. You know,
I'll say one thing though. He has taken us up a level, right? We can't deny that either.
No, we can't.
What is the next level? I mean, because we're at the next level now. Is that now we're talking about the one after this? We know what that level is, right?
Arteta, in fairness, I hear what you're saying. Now, I understand what I'm saying. Listen, I'm not saying I'm right. I could be completely wrong as well. None of us are wrong or none of us are right. It's just our opinion. So,
Amen.
Arteta came out and he told Willian when he signed him that he was going to win the Champions League in 3 years. That came from Arteta. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Arteta won't win the Champions League with Arsenal Football Club for the next 30 years.
We've never won it, so he would be one of all of no one. But let me just clarify there, because you said that. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
I would be amazed if anyone, even Pep. I mean, Pep, when he went to Bayern, didn't say, "I'm bringing you the Champions League in 3 years." To say you're bringing the Champions League seems like, and to say it to Willian, I don't think it's a free transfer.
Willian came out and he said that was one of the things that Arteta said during the meeting of the signing.
Well, we can all agree
that's from Willian.
It could be, and it could be true. If it's true, then I would say if that's true, if Arteta said that to Willian, Arteta said a stupid thing.
Absolutely.
Because, shouldn't have said that.
Look at the money Paris Saint-Germain have spent to win the Champions League. Look at every club wants to win the Champions League, right? It's just a fact. It's the biggest prize in football.
Yeah.
And you can want to win it with all your heart, and you can have the resources of Qatar behind you and not win it. You can have a front three of Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe and not win it. So for Arteta to come to Arsenal at the time where we had Willian and go, "Don't worry, we've got this. We'll win the Champions League in 3 years," is a bloody stupid thing to say. And if he said that,
if it's the truth.
Yeah.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, we blew the league title last season. And for me, it's nothing to do with youths. It's nothing to do with anything like that. These guys are all top-class professional football players. They're elite sportsmen. They're at the very top of the top. We had that Premier League in our hands, and we just let it slip away. The year before that, when we were fighting for a Champions League spot.
But why did we?
Just weren't good enough. just weren't good enough. We failed.
Well, that's
we
fair,
fell
though, isn't it?
apart.
I mean, neither were Liverpool, neither were Chelsea, neither were Man United. They're all being paid. They're all elite sportsmen. I think where you and I might start to disagree is I read that brilliant book, which I hope you've all read, Amy Lawrence, 1989, where she interviewed all the players. Tony Adams said there was a point after one of the matches where he's still only 18 or 19 years old, right? And David O'Leary, legend, until he went to Leeds, that is, says to him, "We could win this, you know." And Tony Adams says to him, "Of course we're going to win it. What are you on about?" Because he's young and confident. But Gary Neville, who we all hate, I'm sure, but has a lot of experience in winning trebles and winning things. He said when he was a young player, going for those leagues was hard because your confidence goes and it plays on you and your legs go and your
legs.
Yeah. And I think we lost that. We didn't have the David O'Learys in the team that they needed to have next to them to get them through. And we relied on young players who are elite sportsmen. But let's be honest, they're not elite in the way that Rodri is elite. Declan Rice is 4 years off Rodri. Rodri steps onto the pitch. I tell you what's really interesting. I actually captured the video of Real Madrid playing Atletico Madrid, right? I know they got beaten in the Copa del Rey, but for the second half, when Real Madrid came out, those guys looked like monsters, and you looked at them and you thought, these guys know how to win games. Now, I know they didn't, right? So it doesn't tell you anything, but we don't have that at Arsenal. We don't have the players that come out, done it before, stick their chest out and go, we're having this, get out of our way. Until we find those players, or until this current crop of players has gone through the adversity that will shape them into being those players, we cannot cross that line. And it's one thing crossing a line against the Liverpool team in '89 that had to deal with the whole Hillsborough disaster. It's another thing crossing a line against an arrogant Man United in '97, '98, where we won 10 games and they didn't think we would. Man City were not the kind of team that were going to slip up. And that's unfortunate. But they didn't slip up when Klopp, who's the second best manager in the world, tried everything he could. They didn't slip up when Chelsea spent £1 billion on players. There were so many reasons to be optimistic. But when you say that these players aren't good enough, I accept that. They're not, but they're young.
But then, Dan, I hear what you're saying. So here's where I'm coming from, Dan. You're saying, basically what you're saying is that they need to get over the line to smile the victory so that they can get the experience and the winning mentality to go to the next level. So the next level for me is to go out there and win a Carling Cup, go out there and win an FA Cup, get the winning mentality that way. But what do? We turn around and throw cups away. No.
Well, why did you say that though? Why did you say throw him away? I mean, he played a pretty strong team against Liverpool.
Dan, third round, man. Third round for that. He's Carling Cup. His Carling Cup record is abysmal.
No, hang on, Kyle. Hang on, Kyle. You've been a fan for a long time, right? How many times Arsenal won? How many times Arsenal won the League Cup?
The last time we saw Arsenal in the League Cup was 31 years ago, Dan, which is an absolute joke.
And the time before that, we've won it twice. Yeah. George Graham is the only manager ever to win the League Cup with Arsenal. The rest all threw it away. Arteta threw it away for 20 years.
But what we're saying here, though, Dan, is that we're trying to get this winning mentality in this group of players now. So why not use the Carling Cup to get that winning mentality?
I agree.
Why not use the FA Cup to get this winning mentality?
I think the difference between, I think we did try. Here's something that I haven't said yet I really want to say. If I never see us in that surrender kit ever again, as long as I live, I will be chuffed. The fact that we go out and make a PR stunt out of playing in white, it's just awful. And it cheapens the whole event, and it was wrong, and we should be taking these games seriously.
Remember that time in the 90s or in the noughties when Man United came out in grey and actually
for half a match,
shit.
Southampton,
and Ferguson got them to change at half time.
Yeah, because they couldn't see each other because they were blending in with the Southampton fans apparently. But just everything you said.
Just quick one, sorry for interrupting you, but we have the great Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola, when he came to England, Pep Guardiola won that league cup. I think it was 3 or 4 years in a row.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Winning mentality, Dan. We don't have it. This is what I'm saying to you. We need to go there.
I can't disagree with you. You're absolutely right. It really is about getting that first win under your belt, because George Graham era was built on the 87 success. Alex Ferguson would have been sacked if it wasn't for League Cup. I mean, you're 100% right. Where we might disagree is, what would you have done differently? I think the League Cup, we didn't put out a full strength side. But what we've been talking about a lot this night, I don't know how much you've been watching, but we've been talking about, we just don't have the players, man.
I totally agree.
Can't rotate. So who are you? It's not like he put out, if he played just the youngsters in the League Cup, at least I'd have gone, well, he blooded the youngsters. It's the same with when we played Sporting in the Cup, in the Europa League, right? He didn't play just youngsters. He didn't play second string. He played a mixture of both, and it's the worst way of doing it.
Yeah.
But Arteta's young, and he makes mistakes. And I think he learns from those mistakes. But if in 2 years' time I'm wrong and he hasn't learned from them, I'll be glad to see the back of him then as well. I still think he's got time.
You always find that League Cup always seems to turn up when Champions League games happen as well. There will seem to be like fixture congestion around that time. Could there be something done to space it out a little better? Because at the time when we put out a second strength team in the League Cup, we never complained, because we know there's more important matches coming we want to keep our best players for. But now we can look back and they go, and I concede your point. A win is a win. A trophy is a trophy to a degree, and that's notwithstanding the Community Shield, which I can concede.
Kyle, is your point there is though that every game's important, isn't it?
As far as I'm concerned, I think we're all the same kind of age bracket here. So as Arsenal fans growing up through the years, lads, for me, as an Arsenal fan, I've watched us lift the FA Cup 9 times. 9 times out of 14. I've seen us lift up the two League Cups, the one in 87 with Charlie Nichols and the one in 93, the double winning season. Now I'm hearing fans saying that these, I'm not saying you, I'm just saying what I hear in other channels and all. Matter of fact, I heard a big YouTube channel yesterday saying that the FA Cup is not a major cup. The FA Cup is a major cup.
It's a major cup in the world.
It's the oldest cup competition in world football.
Yeah, I've never been sad to win it, that's for sure.
I think
I've got to pull you up though, Carl, because you're absolutely right again. We've won it 9 times in the time we've been on. It didn't always lead to progress. It didn't always instill the winning mentality. And I'm thinking of beating Hull. I'm thinking of beating, like we've had cup games. I'm also thinking of the times we should have won it and didn't, like against Liverpool. And not winning it against Liverpool arguably led to 2002. So where we might agree or disagree, I'm keen to hear what all of you think on this, is that I passionately believe that to become a champion, you need to taste failure. Because, I mean, I always talk about this with Sean, and I always talk about great champions are born out of the frustration of not winning. Roger Federer talks about this. When he was winning everything as a young tennis player and he made the step up, it was that failure, that built-in drive to come back. I like Alex Ferguson before the Champions League told his players, you don't get to touch the trophy if you don't win it. You walk past it and know this. If you come off that pitch and you haven't won it, you don't get to hold that thing. And it's not having won builds that. It doesn't always, sadly. Otherwise, we would have won the league last season because we've had enough disappointments. I get that you need to taste success. I 100% agree with you. I'm looking at the lineup that we put out for the league game that we lost to Brentford, for the League Cup game that we beat Brentford in. And it was a second string team. It's got Reece Nelson in, Sago Jr., Edward Nketiah. You looked at that. And when we got through, I remember thinking, he's got it right. Because if he had lost here, when you've got players like this on the pitch, you're going to get ruined, right? And he managed to get through it. When we finally went out against West Ham, I didn't think he had a bad side out there. It just was shit. We just played like shit. And these players do a couple of times a season. He sets them up. You think they're going to do really well. Everton, and they go out and they just play like shit. And I don't know whose fault it is. It's probably my fault because I'm so toxically positive. But somebody's to blame. Hang them. I don't know if it's Arteta though. I think Arteta, we saw in him, he gets wound up with him. He goes like, what is wrong with you people? Win your duels, get to the ball, be first to the ball. Sometimes we're not, like we weren't against Fulham. And I don't know what to say about it. But I don't think he's doing well.
He didn't do very often, but once in a while they'd come in at half time and Wenger would be screaming and shouting like a madman, saying what's wrong with you. And he said, look, I don't do it very often, but yeah, I did it this time. I think it was a Liverpool game that I'm talking about. We were just second to the ball all the way through the first half, and he shat all over the lads. And he said, sometimes you have to do it. I try not to make a habit of it. It's interesting. It's interesting that we have won the FA Cup more than anyone else ever.
Yeah, 14 times.
And that's quite a lot recently too. But as you pointed out, Dan, subtly, it didn't necessarily kick on. Please, someone get rid of him.
I like him. I think Lee Gunner unites us all. Lee Gunner speaks.
I want that guy to get an all-expenses trip to Enniscorthy. That's what I want, because I know what happened to him then with that mouth.
I haven't been posting everything he said.
My wife is from New Ross. So
New Ross. Yeah, you think Enniscorthy yourself, New Ross. Oh, exactly. Well, I'd just like to say that I will be, and Scott said he's after seeing me a few times on YouTube, so he would have saw me on a few lads' channels that would be League Gunner Association. They'd be associates of League Gunner, basically. They'd be all friends with League Gunner. Now, from what I hear about League Gunner is, I personally haven't been on a show with League Gunner. I've reached out a few times. I was told that I would be, but it never transpired. I don't know for whatever reasons. People have their own reasons why I'm not. After been chatting with him, yes, but he's by all accounts, off camera, he's supposed to be a nice fella. And fair play to him, he's a full-time YouTuber. He has to make a career and money out of it. And I do like a lot of things he does say, but I disagree with a lot of things that he does say as well. At the end of the day, people kind of have this whole thing about Lee Gunner. They kind of, I don't know what is the point to figure out. Lee Gunner's just an Arsenal fan, just like the rest of us. He has a big account.
I think my problem was when he called Martin Keown a wrong and he goes into the fans. Because when you start attacking Arsenal fans, I mean, as much as I'm not sure Lee Gunner Speaks Facts is actually an Arsenal fan, but when you go in on Arsenal fans, when there's so many Spurs fans to go in on, there's so many Cockney Man United fans you could have a pop at, there's so many shithead Chelsea fans, and don't get me started on them, and you pick Arsenal fans, and when you blame us, because I don't want to be miserable all my life. Sean and I started the show talking about how when your team does well, it's nice. It's a nice addition to your life. If you've got nothing else in your life, it must be terribly frustrating to be an Arsenal fan. But if that's what you're using football for, if you're using football to replace having an actual life, be a Man City fan. It's well easy. You've won everything. You get to tell everyone your opinion like you somehow won the Champions League yourself and you're Kevin De Bruyne's best man. We're Arsenal fans. I went to Arsenal because my granddad came down from Scotland and he went, I'm an Arsenal fan. And everyone in our family since then has been an Arsenal fan. No choice. That's that. And when I started supporting, we were shit. And no one ever said to me, stick with it, Dan. One day you'll win the double. I was so sick of hearing about Liam Brady. I was so sick of hearing about the double. And, you'll never do that again. There'll never be the double again. When we won the double, it was like the greatest relief of my life. We had a blinding time, didn't we, Sean? We went out and we celebrated really well. And we won the cup. And I was got all the newspapers, couldn't believe it. My life had suddenly got better. 3 days later, you're back at work. You've got a hangover and it's still shit. It doesn't replace having a life. It's being a fan is about supporting your team, rain and shine. We can all disagree on how to get there, like we have done so far.
But that's the thing, right? That's the thing. Even though Kyle doesn't agree with Arteta a lot of the time, you will still support the team.
Absolutely. Listen, when you get out of bed, and this is what I have to do, and you will obviously you will know this, but for me, I get out of bed, I drive 2 hours to Dublin Airport, I get the flight over to Stansted, the train down to Liverpool Street, the underground down to Finsbury Park, go to 12 pins.
Get off of Holloway Road.
Pints.
You've got to get off of Holloway Road, mate. It's much easier.
Is it? I go to Finsbury because
Yeah.
the reason why I go to Finsbury is
Too
because
far.
I go out and meet the lads in the 12 pins.
Yeah, that's where we used to go. Yeah.
How's that?
Would you still pay a quid to get in?
Oh, yeah. Oh, big time. And then I'm lucky enough because the season ticket holder was a friend of mine, and I get tickets off him. So I'm not too bad that way. And when I go see the game, I come back out and I rush again and get the flight back to Ireland and drive another 2 hours back home on the one day.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to do.
It used to be 3 hours on the motorway as well. They've only just done the bypass recently.
Yeah, it's just one straight road. It's a disaster. But that's what I do as an Arsenal fan. So when I do that, I go see the game. And do be on my own as well. So I go see the game, come back, and I'll try to do that 3-4 times a season. It's a lot, and it's a lot of money too, lads. You're working their normal jobs. You're trying to take care of mortgage, family, and you're there. You're looking at what's going on.
They used to fly from Waterford.
Waterford. I think they're closing down that. I think they're closing down that.
Closed down completely now. They used to fly to where'd I go to Southampton at least, or somewhere in London anyway. But yeah, I flew to Waterford one time. That would make it a lot easier.
Yes, it would, because that 2 hour drive from the Dublin airport.
Oh yeah, I've done it many times.
But what I'm trying to say is that I see we're saying that the players are not good enough, that we don't have the players, and we don't. I totally agree. And in this day and age too, lads, let's be fair about it. Football players are way overpriced and they're way overhyped. And I know it's the day to say it, but they're so overhyped and they're so protected. It's not even funny. I'm listening to fans, and you might go at me here. This is controversial, but I hear fans saying that Saka is world class. He's this, he's that. Saka is not world class. Saka is a good footballer. He's not he has the potential.
Carl. I think. Look, I can agree and disagree at the same time because it's a question of definition. The way I would define world class, I think, is there's a handful of players maybe that are world class. Jude Bellingham's world class. I think to be world class, you have to be able to get into any team. Yeah. Like if Jude Bellingham turned up at any team in the world and went, "I'm sick of Real Madrid, can I play?" He'd get a game. Yeah. I think Saka's nearly there. I think he's young, and I could see him being there. But I love Saka because of his potential as much as anything. So I think
he's not there.
He's not there yet. He's not. Look, he's not. Look, I tell you how you know he's not there. It's because he's not winning games on his own at the moment, right? He's not making that level of difference. Jude Bellingham went to Real Madrid. I really thought he was going to replace Tchouaméni, and in fact, he's become it was his penalty that brought Real Madrid back into it the other day, and you never thought he was going to miss. And he's younger, and he's a once in a generation player. Yeah, definitely. I think world class, if you're talking about, could get into the 11 players. There can only be 11 players in the world that are truly world class because they're the players everyone would have. Yeah, we probably don't have any of them. I think that Martin Odegaard is not as good as Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne is world class. Declan Rice isn't as good as Rodri. Rodri is world class. Saliba might well be about to become world class, but if my money was on it, there are defenders I'd put in front of Saliba. But we're young, and I don't think that we've ever. There was a brief period where we had Bergkamp, Vieira, Adams. We've had players that are world class throughout history, but I lived through the Tony Adams era, like we all did, and people didn't see him as world class when he was playing.
And it's like if we were playing that narrative, like they just said, that toxic positivity thing that they just said, then you wouldn't have just said what you did, which you just said we don't have world-class players yet. So this toxic positivity is not true, because if they listen to the whole thing, they'll see that you've said.
They're not only not listening, but they're not even thinking. So it's like if they were listening, they're not going to be thinking. To say to me that I'm getting brown envelopes for bigging up Arteta. I don't, fair enough, but I'm not. I wish I was, to be honest with you, but it wouldn't change what I say. I do this away from what I get paid for. This is my choice to say this shit. If I don't want to turn up, I don't turn up. If I have nothing to say, I'll say it, right? Some of these people, when they have nothing to say it twice as loud. And at the point about you think everything Arteta's doing is brilliant. No, I don't. part of me thinks he hasn't had quite long enough to get this done. I'm not sure he's going to fail yet. I'm not sure we're going to fail this season. I didn't think we were going to do as well as we did last season. If last season hadn't happened, I'd probably be going, it's time to get rid of him. If that game against Chelsea on Boxing Day hadn't happened, I'd be saying get rid of him. I was sick of him then.
And
Sorry,
the thing is, the thing I want answering as well is, I want to know when the process is done. I do want to know that, as in, we've took it as far as we can. there is concerns for me that Arteta is the man before the man.
Scott.
Yeah, but who's the man? Who's the man?
Scott.
Well, or even then, like you say, how do we judge it? It's about trajectory.
Yeah,
while we're improving, generally speaking, then we stick with the program. It's only when we stop improving that we stop, and that's what happened with Wenger, in my opinion. Even though I was a major Wenger fan, I think we maybe waited a little bit too long to say you might want to quit now on your own.
Well,
terms.
I don't think any of us wanted to have to say it. I think Wenger probably should have walked. I to the very end, I never said Wenger out because I owed him too much. I loved him too much.
I put my hands up and I said that I was Wenger out for the last 3 or 4 years.
You were right, Carl. You were right. You were right.
And it was sad to say that, though, Dan. You know what I mean? Because he's such a great manager. But for me, as an Arsenal fan so far, in the 39 years of a fan, for me, the greatest manager we ever had was George Graham. That's my opinion.
Do you know what? That's so controversial. I love you for it. But
no, I knew Carl was going to say that. I've heard him say it numerous times. Yeah,
he's the greatest 9-year period.
Mate, where we can agree on one thing is show me another manager who spent £1 million and put that back five together. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, Dan, think about it, man. Think about it. He won the domestic double. He won the league title in '89 in Anfield. And when we won the league title in '91, Chelsea was the only thing to bet us. We were one game away from
I remember it,
season.
Mate. That no one ever talks about it.
No one talks about it.
I know Chelsea conceded 15 goals and broke the record. We conceded 17 goals that season.
Exactly.
We lost one bloody game.
One game against Chelsea. So
we'll say this, Carl. We're on the same page, man. I totally agree with you. I still prefer Wenger though, because let's be honest. Watching David Rocastle, we talked about this earlier. You wouldn't have caught it, but watching David Rocastle playing a George Graham team and go like that. It's just, it wasn't easy watching. You know what I mean?
It wasn't, but it was successful.
Hugely.
Like,
and it started with the 87 World League Cup, and it went on to be 89. Yeah. And we've all watched 89, the film, we've seen everything, we absorb it. I'll never get over the fact that he went to the players and he said, right, I don't want you to score in the first half.
Yeah.
And they're all like, is he on drugs? What's he talking about? Yeah. Because if you score too early, then they'll get on top of it. What we'll do is we'll score nice and early in the second half. They'll have the pressure and late on we'll win it 2-0. And you go, that is genius.
Genius. And it was genius. And he went, and don't forget,
let's not forget Paul Liederson and John Jensen is the only thing he kept it. But, Carl, as much as you want to say he's the best manager we ever had, when Stuart Houston took over from him, I was at the Forest game where he got sacked and he'd signed, what was that fucking player? Oh, Glenn Helder.
Oh, Jesus.
Right? So we had Johnny Jensen and Glenn Helder and Paul Liederson and all those players and the brown envelopes. Lee Gunner Speaks Facts, you'll love this. There were actual brown envelopes involved. But we were 15th that season.
Yeah.
We were 15th.
I remember it when we were lucky to escape relegation.
We were well lucky.
Was it before or after we signed that? Who's that Welsh bloke?
John Hartson had been there for a year. John Hartson.
John
Hartson was a proper.
He was signed with Chris Kwamnia, wasn't he? He was
Chris Kwamnia.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong. Even geniuses have their downsides, and I think George Graham had a real problem because the players at the end didn't respect him because he was a bastard to them. He treated them like shit. And so there was only so far he was ever going to go with the players. But by the end, we were a cup team. He delivered us the only European trophy any of us have ever seen.
Yeah.
And it wasn't exactly pretty that either, the Alan Smith goal.
But we still went to Copenhagen and and people don't talk about this enough. We went to Copenhagen in '94, and we faced a Parma side, lads, that were top quality players all over the
Brolin.
Brolin, yeah.
Brolin, Espria,
yeah,
and Gianfranco Zola.
And we
so they had Brolin, Espria, and Gianfranco Zola, and we had Alan Smith.
Yeah.
We won it.
And Kevin Campbell. Kevin Campbell.
No, he didn't play. He didn't play.
Ian Rice and Alan Smith played.
Ian Wright and John Jensen were couldn't play. Ian Wright was injured. So we basically had no one on that pitch that should have won a game against Parma. And we did. And
we had what? Davis, Morrow, McGoldrick.
There's a name from the past.
Ouch.
Steady Eddie. Snowy.
Step over. Steady Eddie.
No.
But here we are. But here we are now. And like you said there, Dan, we were a cup team. And now all of a sudden, cups don't matter anymore.
No, I mean, they do matter. But don't you think that the people who are so angry about where we are now would be just as angry at the end of the George Graham era? Because 93, we got to 2 cup finals and beat Sheffield Wednesday twice. Thank God we had them to play, because we were not doing it in the league at all.
No.
After he signed Ian Wright, it just was a downward slip. And I think he lost the players. And look, he didn't do it at Leeds. He didn't do it at Tottenham. If I love anything, I love George Graham because he began this era where we started expecting to win things. Because from 1982, when I went to my first game, to 1987, we never had a sniff of anything.
Yeah.
And we had good players. We had Charlie Nicholas, for God's sakes. We signed Clive Allen and then resold him within like an hour or something. I don't know what was going on there. We never had, Tony Woodcock was one of my favourite players. I've just realised I've just had a massive brainwave. From now on, I'm not going to be Dan anymore. I'm going to be Tony Woodcock Speaks Facts. Because it's time to educate, isn't it? Tony Woodcock. That's where we were. When all these people go, winning's in our DNA, we were invincible, go, Tony Woodcock is in our DNA. Thank you. Right, everyone, just get on board with that, because that's who we were when I started supporting. And if I'd been as angry then as people are now, I would have topped myself.
Let's not forget, earlier on you were saying, no, John Jensen wasn't available. That's a big loss.
Yeah. You see those t-shirts? I was there when Jensen scored. I was there when Jensen scored. Brilliant.
I guess you were.
Were you actually there, though?
No, I wasn't actually.
No,
I wasn't. It was Southampton. I think it was away.
It was a good goal. I mean, he had some swerve. No bullshit.
But the thing is, here we are now, and we're on about players, so we don't have the players, we don't have the squad, we don't have this, we don't have that. But yes, we're after spending almost 700 million on what we have. Now, for me, that it's going to take us a good few years, lads, to get, what's the word I'm looking for? I think that 700 million that we've spent on these players, and they're not good enough. I think it's going to take us a long, long time to actually. Dan, I honestly don't see us win the league title for the next 5 years.
Yeah, but I don't see Man United winning it.
I think we could win it this year. I don't think we're going to, but I think we could.
No, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to say it.
In 5 years.
I'm going to stick the neck on the line and you can come back to me. I'm saying it here and now tonight. Arsenal Football Club will win that in this season.
Well, I don't think that's a big thing to say, if you don't mind me pointing out.
We will win nothing.
Ones we're left in are quite difficult to win.
Yeah, we've never won the Champions League, so you'd be a fool if you backed us to do that. And we aren't as good as Man City, and it doesn't look like we're as good as Liverpool.
I think Liverpool and Man City are going to just sort of bump into each other, like if it was like speed skating. You got those two in front of you; they just knock into each other, and you're just away with it. Yeah. It's going to be like that.
I have to question. I have to question the buy-ins of Fabio, Nuno Tavares, Lokonga, Cedric, Pablo Mari. I do have to also consider that they.
Wait a minute, that's a big spread. Pablo Mari, he signed.
I think they.
Wait, hang on. We can talk about this rationally for a moment. Pablo Mari, He'd worked with a Man City. He rated him. He brought him in. Didn't work. Spent what, 8 million on him, and we got 8 million and 6 million back. So he's wasted 2 million quid, right? Which is what Benzema's getting in a week, by the way. Is less than Benzema's getting in a week. She hasn't spunked that much money. Tavares was cheap, and we may even turn a profit on him somehow. I don't think we will. There are a lot of players he's getting wrong. I think Fabio was a mistake. I don't rate him. All right, but you show me the world-class manager. We just talked about it. George Graham, world-class manager. We can all agree on that. He made some mistakes. Arsene Wenger, Schillaci. Anyone? Does anyone remember that we signed Schillaci? Oh, mate, let's go. Let's start talking about Igor Stepanovs. This is Arsene Wenger. Changed the world of football in this country forever. Gave us the team that we're so proud of. Helped us move to a stadium that he helped finance.
Was there a we saw him in Wembley? Well, I think we went to Championship in the old Wembley.
Charity Shield.
Charity Shield, and there was, I can't remember his name. He began with a K or Kamara or something like that. He was a striker. No, after Kwame. He's so obscure now.
Marouane Chamakh, Gervinho.
Way before Chamakh, but after Kwame. And he was there, and he was actually at Wembley playing for Arsenal. He fucking sucked ass.
Could have been. There's a few, wasn't it? He signed Luis Boumorte, never quite made it. Christopher Ray, who never really came good, although he helped us win in 97, 98.
Yeah.
There are a long list. Like Pep Guardiola signs players that are shit as well, by the way. It's kind of over. It doesn't matter because he wins he wins a treble. So, but nobody can say. I mean, look at Alex Ferguson. Without question, one of the top managers ever to have graced the Premier League. Right? Seba Veron. Seba Veron was an outstanding footballer, and it just didn't work. Right? Mourinho's a really good manager, or at least he was. Right? He signs players, and it's like Shevchenko he's one of the best strikers ever to play football. It's 2 goals he scores for Chelsea. There is something about this that you cannot predict. It's not It's not Football Manager where you go, he has 20 finishing, he will always finish. Kai Havertz is as divisive as he is because we all watched him for 3 years at Chelsea and didn't rate him. And we haven't seen that much of him so far at Arsenal. And it's really hard for me to believe that he's somehow going to come good, right? But the difference here is that he cost 65 million. He's probably the one standout player.
Nobody talking about him.
No, but exactly. But he's a one standout player in the Arteta regime where you go, what the fuck were you thinking? Right?
I think we all do.
We did a show about it.
In varying degrees, we all do, yeah. And I'm a fan, relatively speaking, but not for 65 mil.
Here, can I just put this on? Because we've got Lee Gunner Speaks Facts, and it's a shame not to use him. I've just said that Kai Havertz was a ridiculous signing, like way too much money. And now I'm getting told I'm hyping him up and calling him the next Bergkamp. For the record, as if anyone ever needed to say this, Kai Havertz is not the next Bergkamp, right? He's not the last Bergkamp. He's not Bergkamp's left boot. He's nothing, right? Nothing like Bergkamp. There is only one Dennis Bergkamp. I've sung that ever since he came from Inter Milan. One Dennis Bergkamp, and it ain't fucking Kai Havertz who's going to replace Dennis Bergkamp. There will never be a player like Dennis Bergkamp again. When Johan Cruyff was asked, he said, there isn't an ideal footballer, but when I close my eyes, I see Dennis Bergkamp. Fast forward, there was no world in which Johan Cruyff is saying that about Kai Havertz, right? Like, he's not even saying that if he's sleeping with Havertz's mum. Let's stop talking about Havertz in the same breath as Bergkamp. Let's stop talking about anyone in the same breath as Bergkamp, unless it's Diego Maradona or someone of that ilk. Because as far as I'm concerned, Dennis Bergkamp was rained down from heaven on us by the angels. He was not a normal human being.
He's my favourite. Listen, we did get mentioned earlier on, but it was mentioned in conjunction with Jesus, not with Havertz. So no matter which way you slice it up, Lee Gunner Speaks Facts talking shit yet again.
No, facts shit.
Dennis Bergkamp is the greatest Arsenal player of all time. People say Thierry Henry. Dennis Bergkamp is the greatest football player Arsenal has ever had.
Absolutely, yeah. But he wasn't there
Simple.
all the time. It's just he was capable of magic. There were games where he went missing. Unfortunately,
I think if you asked Thierry Henry, he'd say Dennis Bergkamp was the best player of all time. I don't think there's any question about it.
I'm going to tell you something, Dan. I give you an interesting story. I was working one Saturday and I got a phone call. Waiting down in Ferry Carry Courthouse here in Wexford. My hero at the time was Alex, and my hero at the time was Ian Rice. And I went home right quick, got dressed up in a suit, got the missus dressed up, Tug was headed off, and we were looking up, we were allowed into the wedding. And I remember going to the bar, and Robbie Williams, DJ had Robbie Williams singing Angels. And I looked down, Ian Wright was dancing with his wife. And I said to the woman at the time, what am I going to say to him? What am I going to say to him? So he walked up along, and I just said, Ian, can I have a quick chat with you? And he give me a minute, mate, he said to me. And he went to go drink. Came back, I actually sat down at the wedding, and he gave me an hour of his time.
Brilliant.
It was amazing. I have pictures of the two of us hugging each other and everything. Amazing time. And we spoke about nothing but Arsenal. And at that particular time, Ian Wright was still playing. And Ian Wright said to me that Dennis Bergkamp is on a different level when it came to football. He said his intelligence on the pitch, his vision on the pitch was something extraordinary. Yeah. So I'll never forget that conversation that Ian Wright had with me that night. It was something special. Now, as a player, Ian Wright was a hero, a great player. But as a presenter on Match of the Day and some of the bullshit he comes out with about Arsenal, I don't like him as a pundit. But as a football
they're encouraged to talk shit, though. To be fair, you know.
Yeah, I think that's why he's quitting.
They're encouraged to try and say things to get people riled up and stuff. So you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. Look at Gary Neville. I don't think he's got anything against Arsenal, but he's always given it that because we've got the biggest online exposure of any football team, I think, in the world. So everyone's always on about Arsenal because they want to get the clicks. They want to get the, they want to ride on that wave. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it was great. It was great. No, that was. And
I think Ian Wright probably, for me, is the, like the generation before we started watching football, all about Charlie George was one of us, and he went and played on the pitch. I know that Ian Wright wasn't an Arsenal fan growing up, but for me, he was me on the pitch. When I was there when he scored the record and he lifted his T-shirt one too early. He's just done it and he hadn't yet. There's just the way he played with a smile on his face. You don't see that so much anymore. I wish we had a player who smiled and played like he does. Yeah. They are rare as rocking horse shit. Ian Wright, personality. Definitely, if you could just hug one Arsenal player from history in your life, it would be Ian Wright, right? And everyone I know that's met him that has a story. I have a little story as well, not quite as good as yours, but like everyone who's met him loves him. He is Arsenal. And he's still Arsenal through and through. And there should be a statue to Ian Wright, no question.
Well, Dan, it's funny you said that, mate. It's funny you said that because I was about to say something in the previous conversation we had. There's a statue of Herbert Chapman. There's a statue of Arsene Wenger. There should be a statue of George Graham.
There's a statue of the Hill Woods. There's a statue of Hill Wood, which is why there's never going to be a statue of George Graham.
No, it never will be. Never will be, but there should be.
I agree.
It's an interesting one. That I mean, he did steal. I mean,
it was resting in his account. No, listen. I can't disagree with you. I love George Graham. I'm reading his autobiography at the moment. If you want to dislike George Graham, read what he writes because he's up himself. He's hard work. Right. Yeah. But I loved him. He was my manager. He was my hero. He was he delivered.
Exactly, and that's a mentality it seems to have gone. We talk about Wenger, Arteta in, Arteta out. The fact of the matter is he is our manager, right? At the moment, and that's the thing. We can talk about whether we think he should be there or should not be there, but at the moment that's where he is.
But let's say I had the choice. Let's say God had given me I have the power. I've got, as we know, I've got Edu on the phone here. I've got Josh Kroenke on the other line. He's going, Dan, it's your choice. Who do we bring in instead? Who is going to replace Arteta and guarantee you the Premier League?
Yeah.
Because the thing is with that, Ancelotti is never going to happen, or Simeone, so they're out of the question.
Yeah,
Ancelotti's been in the Premiership before, hasn't he? I mean,
yeah.
Well, lads, we're all missing a big point here. To me, it's a valid point. Maybe I'm wrong, but the question is, who do we replace Arteta with? Yeah. My question to everyone is, so what do we do here? Do we sit around and watch us fade year in, year out, not win league titles, not win FA Cups, not win this?
I think that's not my point. My point is this: all the players that are currently at Arsenal came to Arsenal because they believed in the process. I think when they stop believing in the process, when he loses that dressing room, every manager goes. I don't think he's lost the dressing room yet. He might have lost 25% of the fan base. He might have lost Lee Gunner, and he might have lost Kenny Kelly. He might have lost some of us, but he hasn't lost the players. When he loses the players, he's gone like every other manager, like Mourinho, like every other manager, right? So there's that. And to the point we're all questioning, we're all wondering how long to give him if we don't win this season and if we don't win next season and the season after. But we all know we can taste it when it goes wrong.
Yeah.
We know when it's gone. And I just don't taste it yet. I'm not saying that the people out there that's saying that he's never going to do anything, we should get rid of him now. They might look right in 5 years' time and I will look wrong. But at the moment, my grandmother used to say, if you're crossing the road and a car comes towards you, keep walking. The worst thing you can do is stop and change everything. Right now, the idea of sacking Arteta would be anathema to most clubs. They'd go, well, so this guy who takes you from nowhere for 20 years, breaks the goal-scoring record, wins the FA Cup, has you competing with superstar Man City, the best team that's ever been, is toe-to-toe with Guardiola, beats him twice in a season, gets you in the first time he's ever qualified for the Champions League, sails through top of the group. And you can say it's a Europa League group, but Ten Hag, who's a magical, mystical man at Ajax and is now a shithead at Man United, he didn't do shit for them. And I'm just saying, when I look around at the world of managers, there's probably one out there that could do a better job than Arteta, but it's a risk. Because I think for every 5 people you appoint, 4 of them will probably do about as well or worse than Arteta. And I would, if we're going to have a sensible conversation with the likes of Lee Gunner speaks facts, which I think is impossible, but if we're going to have that sensible conversation and they want to tell me they're Arteta out, don't come to me with a problem. Come to me with a solution, right? Come to me with what you want to do. Lee Gunner speaks facts. Who are you appointing? Because my honest opinion is that most of these people don't know the names of any other managers. Because when I watched the video that triggered me the other day, it was Christ, I've forgotten his name now. He was going on about, I don't want any more project managers. Get me an Ancelotti, get me a Hansi Flick, or get me a Diego Simeone. And you go, Diego Simeone's won 2 La Ligas. It's a great achievement, right? He's not coming to Arsenal. Hansi Flick just got drummed out of the German manager's job because he couldn't win a game with Germany in the run-up to them hosting the cup, right? And can we be real for a minute? Ancelotti didn't sign his extension at Real Madrid because he was like, oh, when are Arsenal going to phone me? Oh, bloody come on, Arsenal. No, well, then I'll stay at Real Madrid then. Fuck it. You know, there is a point where I go, if Pep phoned me up now and said, you know what, I've had enough at City, these lot of bobbins. I've never liked them. Can I come and manage Arsenal? I will sack Arteta for you. I would sack Arteta for you. I'd go, Mikel, put the cones out. Pep's coming home, right? And I think Arteta would have to deal with that. And I'll add this to it. If Jurgen Klopp phones me up and says, sick of Scousers, right, which he's not going to do, and who would, but I'd probably give Klopp the job. So if it's not Klopp and Guardiola, I'm out of ideas, people. Arne Slot, final. I mean, like, what about Xavi Alonso? Yeah, maybe. But he's not going to win the Bundesliga. And if he doesn't win, he might do, actually. I hate to say it. But he might win the Bundesliga and then be like, look how clever he is. Great. But I just think we haven't got a plan B right now. The players...
That is the question, is where to go.
No one's ever got a plan B when they've got the one they've wanted to, in the first place. And the Cronkies, as I found out subsequently, never wanted to lose Arteta. I thought they wanted to make it about them, but it turns out they haven't got massive egos, as I thought.
No, it's better than that, Sean. And this really blew me because I didn't have any love for the Cronkies, not after the way that their tenure at the club started. I wanted Usmanov, and how difficult that would have been now, right? Look at Everton. But what really surprised me was when they went for Unai Emery, it was against Stan Kroenke's judgment. Because in his mind, he was like, get the young guy in with the vision and build a team slowly and organically, like he did at the Rams, right? And he listened to his experts and he went for Unai Emery, and he saw the crowd half empty in that Frankfurt game. He went, no, do you know what? I'm going with my man. And he went for Arteta. And when Josh Kroenke sat down with Arteta in that tough spell and went, we got you, man. That was a brilliant thing to do. Because whether you think Arteta's going to win us silver or not, tell me you hated last season. Tell me that scoring 88 goals out of nowhere, that start we had, 50 points out of 56 possible points from the start. That's unheard of, right? He outperformed not only everyone's expectations, but he delivered a style of football. It was almost like you had the George Graham and the Arsene Wenger wound up together. Now, it may be that that's a pipe dream and it may not come to pass. But if we're going to ditch that level of progress, what Sean's always saying, which is trajectory and progress, if you can't see that's better than what we had and you don't deserve a bit longer, I always use the same analogy. If I'm in the kitchen cooking and you've asked me to make a bolognese and you come in and you go, what are you doing? And so I'm cutting up onions and you go, I don't like raw onions. I said, well, it's not going to be raw onions in a minute. It's going to be something else. You go, well, you're an idiot. What kind of an idiot puts raw onions in a bolognese? And then you come back a bit later on and you go, what are you doing now? And I go, I'm browning the meat. And you go, that's raw meat. You're an idiot. There's a point you get to where you just go, do you know what? Let the man cook. If he serves you something and it tastes like shit, you sack him. But I haven't had my dinner yet. And we're not finishing our dinner. And everyone's going, oh, you need Ivan Toney, because everybody has the obvious answer. It's never, hang on a minute. This team scored 88 goals last season. That's why we didn't sign a striker. Because this season, we went into this season after the summer transfer window and Julian Timber's injury with fucking 6 strikers, right? That's the problem with 6 defenders. That's the problem. The problem wasn't we didn't go out and sign Ivan Toney. The problem, no one was thinking about it, and no one had a problem with it in summer. As soon as something goes wrong, Lee Gunner speaks facts, talks around. We should have done this. Everyone's fucking clever 20 hours after the event, right? Everyone can go in 3 years' time when Arteta doesn't win the league. I told you so. And here's the thing. If I wanted to get more views on my channel than ever before, Carl, you've got a channel. You want to get views, say something that's going to wind up the majority of Arsenal fans. 75% of us or thereabouts want to see Arteta stay. 20% probably think, I don't really, but I don't know what else to do. And 5% rattling their cages, making all the noise, are focusing everyone's attention on it at exactly the time where I'd quite like Arteta to feel like we were behind him. Because sometimes your man turns up to win a trophy and you don't really believe in him, but he's your best mate. So you go, go on, Sean, I believe in you. Do it. You'll do this. And that's what supporting is, right? And what it isn't is, you've got no chance. If your mate's getting up in a ring to fight someone and you think that guy's going to have him on toast, you don't go, you're fucked. Because that's not what being a supporter is. It's not what we are. We're fans. And I said in the video, and me and Sean talked about earlier, Arsenal didn't phone me up and go, look, we're short a couple of fans. Do you want to be one? They don't know who I am. They don't know who Lee Gunner is. They don't know who any of us are. Arteta doesn't give a shit about us. It's not on his radar. He gives a shit about the 25 players in his squad. Frankly, he should care about 21 of them and get rid of the 4 of them. We all know that.
Yeah.
But he brought Odegaard to the club. He brought Declan Rice to the club. He gave Saliba his chance. He brought Emil Smith-Rowe through. I know Emil Smith-Rowe and Saka had played before, but come on, he's done more than anyone would have done to promote Saka. And I think Saka's been outstanding. Martinelli's playing under him. He brought Jesus in. I know everyone, it's easy now to go on about Zinchenko's a prick. Listen, Zinchenko's numbers stack up. You can't be the second leanest defence in the league and have people say your defenders are shit. The two don't go together. So with all that being said, when he brought in Ramsdale and everyone said he was a numpty, and then a little bit later on, they're all going, you can't drop Ramsdale, he's really good. Some point, one of your decisions has been wrong. You either thought Ramsdale was a prick, and then you should be glad we brought Raya in, or you think Ramsdale's the greatest thing since sliced bread, then thank him for bringing him in for just 30-something million, right? And for all of this, Arteta gets no credit at all because he hasn't won us the Champions League. Just like George Graham never won us the Champions League, just like Arsene Wenger never won us the Champions League, just like no one's ever won the Champions League. Arsene Wenger took us to the UEFA Cup final in 2000. We bummed against fucking Galatasaray, disgraced ourselves, right? Champions League final, I'll give Wenger a break for that one, because how do you get to the final of the Champions League not conceding a single goal and then have some referee ruin it for you by sending off your goalkeeper? All of this being said, Arteta, for me, deserves at least as long as Alex Ferguson had, and that's 6 years. And if you don't like it, come up with a better plan. Tell me who you want, and let's talk about it honestly. Because I'll tell you who's available right now. Mourinho's out there, serial winner everywhere he goes. Right?
Would you take Mourinho?
Oh, I fucking wouldn't. I take Mourinho out the back and shoot him. So I mean, like,
I wouldn't,
like,
Scott, I wouldn't take anyone. I wouldn't take anyone, because what Dan's saying, the process isn't completed. Once we've got the right people in the right places, if we're not getting the results, we go, okay, well, thanks very much. You've done your best. Didn't work. Yeah. We're going to try something else.
So no, I don't get it that they said, oh, this is just a positivity channel. Well, it isn't, because you've just highlighted where you're not happy as well. So it's not, is it, Kyle?
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Football, to me, football has gone insane. I'm listening about process and all these words that this is a project. And was it a fucking project when we went to Anfield and beat Liverpool in 1989? Was it a project when we won?
It was. It was a project because he signed Perry Groves. George Graham signed Perry Groves, right? No one could understand what the fuck he was doing. He let Charlie Nicholas go. He let some of our really good players go. He brought Kevin Richardson. He goes out and gets Lee Dixon from Stoke, Steve Bold from Stoke. Who are these people? Nigel Winterburn from Wimbledon. Who the fuck are these people? We're Arsenal. We need to be going out and buying the big players. It was a process. He wins the League Cup in 87 and everyone's like, fair play, but we're never going to win the league. In 89, cast your mind back. The 2 games before Anfield, we bottled it. We blew it. And I will say this, and for fear of being called another God knows what, but I'll live with that. If the Hillsborough disaster hadn't happened, us going to Anfield and getting a 2-0 win might well never have happened. George Graham might not have had a chance to do 91 because I didn't see it coming. Did any of us? At the start of the 88-89 season, you tell me how many of you...
They were betting us, and it was Anfield. And it's still today. You want to talk about
conceivable way. And in fact, cast your mind back to that game at Anfield, because if John Barnes does the sensible thing that any normal footballer would do and boots that ball out of the park, Liverpool win the trophy. We, the plucky runners up, the league gunners of this world, don't have this whole thing of we're a better club, we should win everything, because we won't have won anything since then. We'd have won the odd cup. We wouldn't have the most FA Cups. We wouldn't have Arsene Wenger, and we wouldn't be where we are now.
Dan, you made a great point there about what we've won. And I've always said it. And what happened to me was I was a taxi driver years ago. And I started using YouTube to voice my opinion about Arsene Wenger at that particular time. But I was only getting 40 views, 50 views. So I kind of gave up.
Know the feeling.
Nobody's going to listen to me, you know what I mean? But I came back into it again then. And as I said, you have only 230 subscribers. I'm not out to do it big. I want to just be honest. But in the 23 years Arsene Wenger reign of Arsenal Football Club, I think it's a shocking, and I mean it's a shocking. I know he's done great things for the club, but it's a shocking thing we get to look on. 3 big titles in a 23-year period. Not good enough.
No, but I mean you're missing but look, and you know the common because they weren't around when it happened, and we've already talked about it, so I don't want to rehash it. But people say you tore down the stadium to compete with Real Madrid. When we tore down the stadium, the only way you could make revenue was match day revenue. That was the biggest source of income. We didn't see. He
didn't say to compete with Real Madrid, to be like Real Madrid.
He did say to compete with Bayern Munich, and he did. There was that quote.
I saw to be like Real Madrid.
It was Peter Hillwood that said it. It wasn't Arsene Wenger. Arsene Wenger never said it.
Oh, sorry. I was about Lee Gunner speaks facts. That's what
no. Lee Gunner speaks a lot of things, but let's not pretend they're facts. All right. We tore down Highbury because we had to, and you know what? for the years that we've been at at the Emirates now, for the extra, I mean, you're talking about you wouldn't be going if it was hybrid, because you wouldn't get a ticket for love nor money, right? No. In the Champions League, we had an attendance of 33,000. I was at every one of those bloody Wembley games where we played, where we couldn't beat FC Lens, where we couldn't beat Dinamo Kiev. Oh my God, do you know what I mean? And what's funny is when we played Lens this time, and
we were shit at Wembley, weren't we? We were shit.
2 years of not getting out of the group. Arteta in his first season out of the group, and people go, "Oh, yeah, it was an easy group." So was Arsene Wenger's first group. We had Dinamo Kiev, we had Lens, and we had Panathinaikos, and we couldn't get out of that group with Patrick Vieira, Manu Petit, Nicola Anelka, and we couldn't get out. That's why
we signed Lusny, wasn't it? And he had us on toast.
After the Dinamo Kiev game. So I get all of the hate for Arteta from outside of our club. But from inside of our club, I cannot fathom that. And for me, what triggered me wasn't when people are Arteta out and they hate Arteta. You're entitled to your opinion. Every one of you, right? Everybody's entitled to their opinion. It's equally valid to mine. I concede that. Except for Lee Gunner speaks facts because he's a shithead. But everyone's entitled to their opinion. Where I don't get it is where you run out of vitriol for the Cronkies, because you can't really blame them for what's going on now. You can't really blame Edu and his team, because they are going out and getting the players that we seem to want. You can hate Arteta, but then to hate the other fans and to say that it's the positivity of the fans that's lowered the standards, it's made this acceptable. And you go, if I'm going to get blamed for being too positive so that we don't win the league, can everyone at last agree that it must have been down to me that we were invincible? It must be my toxic positivity that made us win the 93 cup double, because I was toxically positive, let me tell you. It must have been me that got us over the line against Liverpool in 89. It must, all of us positive fans that go to the ground and sing our hearts out, because it's what we love to do, right? We're the problem. At what point do you just go, I've run out of people to blame now? Could I be the problem? Could Lee Gunner ever go, maybe it's not the toxically positive people, maybe it's the irritatingly negative people who are negative all the time? Imagine sitting next to that guy at a football match. Imagine
I sat next to them before, yeah. I have,
mate. Yeah. You tear up your season ticket.
That's the thing, and that's what you would say to Lee Gunner Speaks Facts. You know, if you're going to be one of these people that turns up 10 minutes late to the match, and then leave 10 minutes early because you want to get a coffee, or you're worried about the traffic, or this, that, and the other, then and then complain about it, then you think, honestly, mate, is it for you? Is this your thing? You don't seem to be mixing very well with this. You know, I'm not telling you can't. I'm saying, if nothing you do here gives you pleasure, why are you still doing it?
Yeah, amen. And to that question, that's what's really bugging me, because I go, so you don't like the Cronkies, you think Edu and his team are useless, you think Arteta's ruining your club, and all the other fans are assholes. What are you left with? What are you still loving? Then you go around saying that Martin Keown's are wrong, and you go, so you don't even like the old players. Like, okay, so if I don't like the chairman, and I don't like the manager, and I don't like the other fans, I might as well support Chelsea, because that's how I feel about Chelsea, right? I don't like the fans. I don't like their owner. I don't like their manager. Happy days. I'm a Chelsea fan.
I think that social media has a big impact nowadays on our football clubs, and I think the social media, I think it's almost like you have a certain amount of fans on the left side and you have fans on the right side, and there's arguments and fights going on between our social media channels, and it shouldn't be the case. We should be all together. If you're Arteta out like I am, I'm sitting here tonight and I can tell the three of you straight up, I want Arteta gone. But that's just my opinion. You guys put Arteta in, but we're not going to fight about it. It's just an opinion, and we're all Arsenal fans at the end of the day. And when Saturday come, I'm going to be sitting here shouting at the TV and supporting Arteta, supporting the boys, hoping to get 3 points.
Because he is the manager. Because that's what he is.
If he wins the league title, or if he does what I want my club, if he does what I'm looking for in my club, I will be the first to come on social media, put my hands up and say, Arteta, you proved me wrong. You're a fucking legend. And lads, how foolish was I? I'm course stupid. I'll be the first to do it.
Yeah.
But as I said to you, we shouldn't have to fight amongst each other. And I see a lot of fighting going on. Like, and I just want to say something quickly before it goes up my mind. I kind of went on it there. I hit on it there a couple of minutes ago, but I didn't finish it off. There's a big platform channel that was saying, basically putting the FA Cup down the other day, saying it's not a major trophy. But the same fan, I guarantee you, was celebrating when we won the domestic cup Dublin in '93. The same fan was jumping around the place when we won the Dublin, the Premier League and the FA Cup. It mattered then, but now all of a sudden it's not a major trophy. This is what I'm trying to say, and this is a big channel. The FA Cup is big. It is a major trophy. Yeah, if that's the case, then what do we do? Do we just wipe away our history, our doubles?
We've won it more than anyone else. Who would take? That's like taking the rug from under ourselves. We won it more than anyone else. Why would we devalue it? It wouldn't make any sense at all.
I think that's a big influencers, and I just think that really hurts me is you have the younger generation that be listening to this, and it's not good. You know what I mean? It's history. It's what we fucking grew up with. It's in our blood. It's in our veins. Don't be throwing our history away.
Have you ever seen us win an FA Cup and not enjoyed it?
Exactly.
Like, it's a great day. Like, it's a great day.
I think Steve Morrow didn't enjoy it that much.
That's the League Cup. That's the League Cup.
That was a League Cup. All right.
Yeah. I think what's happened with the FA Cup, right? As you know, obviously I've been out in New Zealand for now like 23 years, but back in the day, it used to be such a massive event, and sometimes shops would close down for half a day so that people could go home and watch it. And I think the traditionalism of the FA Cup is no longer there, and it's not. So that hasn't transgressed into the new fan base of how important the FA Cup is. I just think
they grew up. They've grown up playing FIFA. They've grown up playing FIFA, haven't they? So the Champions League is the thing now. It's supplanted the FA Cup. The FA Cup has a magic. It used to be only match on television. Everyone would watch. I watched every FA Cup final, whether I liked. I mean, I got criticised the other day. I got criticised yesterday because I like Bayern Munich. That's my German team. Because if you're watching football and you don't, I mean, obviously Arsenal's my team. That's it. I like Barcelona, Bayern Munich. Irrelevant. If we're playing Bayern Munich, I know where I'm cheering for.
No, you support 3 teams.
More than that. I've got Rapid Vienna in Austria. I don't have a Belgian team.
5. Oh my God, it gets worse.
I support RC Lens. Don't have a French
team. You watch ice hockey too.
Hey?
Yeah, I know.
You watch ice hockey too.
Did you see the chaps though, Scott? There was I think it was this tool piece down here that said, "Oh, he supports 2 teams. Don't take his word for it. He's not a real Arsenal fan because he said
it was Big Kenny Kens. It was Big Kenny Kens who said, "Don't listen to this because he's pro LGBTQ." I don't give a shit what people do in their bedrooms, by the way. And and he said, "I'm a Bayern fan." I'm like, right. If anything about me is screaming out to you that I don't know anything about Arsenal, fine. Call me what you want. See if it bothers me. Meanwhile, in the real planet, there is a point where you get to with these young people, like this Lee Gunner Speaks Facts, who, frankly, you're never going to get your GCSEs unless you get some sleep, young man. But he's out here going, the day Arteta gets sacked, the day the football closes down, according to these brown envelope merchants.
Just gibberish.
Nothing we've said in the last 3 hours has supported this. But I am feeling that I think he's a Labrador with a keyboard.
Yeah.
I just have
to say, chaps, I've got to cruise now and do a few jobs. But
so do I. It's getting late.
I think we all have to call it. But listen, first of all, Sean, Scott, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. But Carl, an absolute joy meeting you, and I hope you can spare some time and come back soon.
Because all I want is us all to have an opinion, and we don't have to agree. But let's be respectful.
Well, I think you're wrong, and I don't think we should all have an opinion.
That's brilliant.
Kyle, we should keep in touch anyway because I've been living down your neck of the woods for a long time.
I was going to ask you, are you on Instagram or anything like that? Or if you have a WhatsApp group or something like that, I can send you. I can email you my phone number, and you can.
I'm going to start one. Let's have the four of us start.
You should do a WhatsApp group. I tried to start a fantasy football, but Dan didn't bite.
Mate, I haven't got the. You know, like, is there not enough? Do you know I edit all my own videos, by the way? Right? Love and respect. I know Lee Gunners can't wait to tell me how great that makes me. But let's stay in touch. Let's make this a regular thing. I've enjoyed every.
Dan, tonight, just so when we finish up there, Dan, I'm going to email you my phone number.
Yeah.
And if you want to start a WhatsApp group or something like that, just let me know. If I want to come back on the show, I'd love to come back on the show. And I'm actually trying to listen. I'm not good at technology, but there's a friend of mine going to show me how to do live streams, and I'll be getting yourselves on mine. That's if it kicks off. For now, I love to jump on because you talk Saints. I'm actually after listening to you there tonight, and I'm after taking on board a few things that you've said that I haven't seen before. So, you know what, this is what it's all about. Just because you're Arteta in, that don't mean that I disrespect your opinion. I'm going to listen to you very carefully.
I'll be honest with you, it's more that I'm being paid by Arteta and Edu. You know,
we've lots to talk about, and I'll be jumping back on 100%.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I'm following you on Instagram anyway, Kyle. So I've got contact with you as well.
All right, Scott. Scott, what are you under there, Scott, on Instagram?
Scott Kirk. Kirk. Scott Kirk.
Deadly. I'll give you a note, mess.
Yeah. But no,
send your number. I'll start a WhatsApp group.
Absolutely. Lads, listen, big up to the trees, and I really appreciate this opportunity. And all the chats, even the Gunner Talk Saints, big up to you. Lads,
what's your channel name, Kyle? What's your channel name? What's your channel name? I'll put it in the comments.
Kyle Walsh Gunner.
Okay, so it's just your name. Okay,
that's just my name, Kyle Walsh Gunner. And there's no holding back in my videos.
All right.
Hey, mate, your channel.
Fair play to you, mate. God, good to meet you, yeah?
Good to meet you all, lads. Big up to you.
Be lucky, everyone.
Lads. Bye now.
Cheers. Bye.
Thanks, lads.
See ya. Cheers. There's always a moment where I end the stream and it doesn't quite end, but we're there now.